The following episode of Humble and Fred Radio is brought to you by FYI Music News, The Retirement Sherpa, Gig Sky, The Chambers Plan, Strain Print, Freedom Construction, Ringside MD, Clear Air Solutions, and our newest sponsor, CDN Technologies. If you'd like to talk to Humble and Fred, call 1-833-437-8465. That's 1-833-HF-STINK. And now from the Humble and Fred Queensway National Broadcast Center, here are Humble and Fred.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Look at us. Yeah. Look at us. Look at it. Look at it.
Look at it.
Look at it. Look at it.
Well, look at this again.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm telling you, it's something. It's a new thing of mine. I forget to do my fly up all the time. It's weird.
Are you sure you maybe you do it up and just because your belly is now so
Maybe.
fat from traveling?
No.
Maybe because you have traveler's belly and you're a big fat man now?
No, it's a concern. I don't know if that's an age thing or what, but so often Delise has to say, hey, look at your fly, or I'm out in public and I look down and my fly's open. But anyway.
Remember when you were a kid and that would happen though? Like that would be like the fact that it happens now. You're an old man. No one cares. When you're like a young kid in school and having your fly undone was like the most incredible thing that could happen all day. Mm-hmm. You get your fly undone, Patterson.
Yeah. Hey, your barn door's open.
You're flying low.
Yeah, all those things.
Oh, dear.
But I got to watch that now. It's another one of the note to self. You know those? Note to self.
Yeah.
Do fly up.
Note to self. Put on pants. Welcome,
Anyway.
everybody. Welcome to what we call a show. Is it a show, Phil?
Yes, it's a program.
You know, it's a program. Today, reunited, and it feels so good. Today, it's going to be all about where you been, what you doing, what did you learn. Of course, you can interact with us. 1-833-437-8465. How else can people interact with us, Phil?
Well, they can text us at the same number if they feel like it.
Yeah, I haven't checked that. I don't even know where that screen is anymore.
What is that, 3 weeks ago?
I never check it. No one texts us anymore because they're too busy twitching us.
That's right.
Oh, there's Sean. Hey, Sean.
That's right.
Look, Fred's
Everybody's
back.
on Twitch. Fred's here.
Fred's here.
I was 2 weeks early on that one.
And by the way, you're back just in time for some really nice weather, apparently.
Yeah, you weren't here last week, right?
I was.
You were?
Yeah.
Not on the show.
Yeah, I did the show every morning.
Did you really?
Yeah, just by myself.
Oh.
I'd come down and, I guess, it's like, I just get in the habit. I came down, I did some show. Mm-hmm. Not a long one, like 15, 20 minutes, just by myself. Me and Stan.
Nice.
Yeah. Stan produced the Twitch feed, and everything was fine.
Such a good boy.
Excellent.
Why are you asking?
Is that your podcast for a podcast network? A new podcast network? They're all over the place, you know. Everybody is starting up podcast networks.
Yep.
And they need content. So that is what yours is for.
Oh, that's right.
Ugh.
Everyone, October of 2011,
Yeah.
nobody had ever heard of a podcast.
No, I know.
Now there's nobody who doesn't have a podcast.
That's true.
Like, honestly.
Very true.
No, I know. Yeah. And it's great. And the sweetest thing is that everybody thinks their podcast is going to be the thing. Mm-hmm. Because if other people can do it, they can do it. And they can do it better. And all the power to them. But I'll tell you, there's a sea of podcasts out there. There's a sea of podcasts done by people who thought they could do a podcast.
Actually, that's a great idea.
Because other people were doing podcasts.
That's a great idea for a podcast.
Yeah.
We should call it Anybody Can Do a Podcast.
Right. I'm doing this podcast because my friend Bart has one.
Yeah. And and my podcast is having Bart on my podcast.
Yes.
And then I go on Bart's podcast. Mm-hmm. Anybody listen, and this is no way casting any kind of, but Sean's got a podcast. And he's going to start on Fridays. Mm-hmm. And this is not what we're referring to. You're already a professional.
That's right. This is going to be like a big fish in a big sea of podcasts right now. That's it. It's not a pond, but trying to jump in as a big fish if I can. That's right.
You got any clue what that's all what that meant?
Something about fishing.
Fishing. Okay, so Sean's.
Yeah, it's not about fishing.
We'll have some. Here, I'm just going to turn your mic on. We'll have some details about Sean's podcast on the Twitch, Humble and Fred Twitch channel. It's coming this weekend. Welcome, everyone. Great to have you along with us. If you're listening and watching and you don't have a podcast, get a hold of us. We'll help you produce yours.
Yeah, the studio's here. I was talking to John Gallagher and Peter Gross apparently want to do a podcast.
Come on in.
Yeah, I extended that invitation. So, like many other, though, even can you use the term former professionals? They're still professionals. They're just not working. I think that's fair. But even people like that don't have much stamina for it. Where they do one or two and then it sort of peters out. Well,
that's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
I mean, look how hard we work at it. You know who else is Bob? Was Bob McCowan already doing a podcasting?
Is he doing one?
Well, I thought he might be.
I don't know.
He talked to me about it years ago. A couple years ago, we were having a conversation, him and I, about podcasts, and it sounded to me like some big people with money were interested in hiring the Bobcat to do something. And now I thought maybe
see that.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, but again, because he has a brand, he has a name, and people would, people miss his radio show. So
he could call it Bobcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like Bobcat.
And basically, given the format of what he was doing, it'd be perfect for a podcast.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll be talking to him in the next little while. Maybe we can get him in here one morning. We were on his show. Mm-hmm. Maybe he'll come on our show. That would be nice. We'll even send a car.
Will we? Mm-hmm. Also, while you were gone...
You don't think we should send a car?
He's got a lot of money, man. Like, seriously.
All right, I won't offer
He lives
the
on
car.
the bridle path. He can get himself here.
Helicopter.
We got ourselves to his show. No one sent no car for Hubel and Fran.
Well, and you know what? What?
Is that not gracious that we...
Oh, no. I yeah. No.
Okay.
I'm just saying sometimes that's an enticement. That's the final thing that nails it down.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, guys. Not sure. Maybe I'll try. We'll send a car for you. Okay, what day?
Clincher.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
I can see Bob talking to his beautiful wife. Christine, I'm not sure if I want to go on the Humble and Fred show. Well, they said they'd give you a free car ride. Ooh, I like cars. Is that what you think that conversation will be like?
Maybe.
All right.
Then we'll talk to, maybe we could talk to the people at Etobicoke, and they could clear the space in front of the studio where he could park his Rolls Royce.
Sure.
Huh? And then,
anyway.
then we'll get a red carpet.
What? So that's the thing. That's what it takes for people to come in here. While you were gone on your magical mystery tour, a lot more people got fired and retired. We don't talk a lot about hirings anymore. We talk a lot about firings and retirings.
Yeah.
And death.
Yes.
Well, that's our podcast. There's our podcast.
Good
Phil.
morning. Yes.
Hirings, retirings, and death.
It's sort of age specific too. I think once you're nicely into your 50s, when they call you in and say, listen, reorganization, cutbacks, whatever, revenues are down, we're going to have to let you go. However, before you leave the room, if you want to hammer out the story, what we're going to tell people, we're open to that. Meaning, we're letting you go, we're downsizing, we're getting rid of you, basically. But if you want to put it out there that you're retiring or it was your choice to go on to other things, we'll do that. We're willing to go that.
You sound very specific.
Well, it's true, though.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that was, although I was in my 40s then, or was I? Maybe early 50s when we left the mix. That was given to me. Mm-hmm. Would you like that? And I said, no, I want the truth, is what I said. But again, there was a little bitterness there. But I think a lot of guys in their 50s, and guys we know, which is, I guess, nice.
Well, I was talking, I guess it is nice. I was talking more about Kiprios was let go. Who else was let go over there?
Doug McLean. John Shannon.
Yep.
John Shannon would be a great guest.
Great guest.
Former
Hockey Night in Canada producer. Amazing.
Yeah. I'm going to work on that one.
Get on it.
Mm-hmm.
just to take a little side trip quickly here, and I don't really know the details, and I don't really know Keith Pelly that well. I mean, a couple of years ago, I got to hang out at the Scottish Open because I knew him as an acquaintance. He's the commissioner of the European Tour now, PGA Tour. But that deal that he helped put together, that got all the hockey, Rogers paid $5.2 billion for this hockey deal that everyone calls the worst deal in sports history.
Yeah,
but it must
something else.
But and not listen. You can't completely blame Keith Pelly. He thought, and they must have all thought at the time, with the way streaming was going on. We've talked about this, that it made sense. Mm-hmm. We talked about it at the time as though it made sense. But where has it gone wrong?
It made sense because television eventually will only be live. Television, network television as we know it, will just be live events. Mm-hmm. Because of, Netflix and streaming and being able to watch shows when you want, how you want, without commercials. So we thought it made sense from that standpoint, because sports is unique to that situation. You can put commercials in because people have to stay for the live event. But I don't know, was it on some level, because we're not brilliant, was it on some level a misread, just like the record industry misread it, just like the newspaper industry misread it? Did they? I don't know. You'd have to go back to day one and follow the path, but it's certainly not looking good now.
But blaming Pelly isn't fair either, because again, he was just one guy. He engineered the deal, but a lot of people had to go, this is a great idea.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because, and again, no one could imagine how little people really cared about. They're just not getting the numbers. I read that they had to give back, I don't want to get too complicated, but they had to give back advertising revenue because you sell ads based on what you think the numbers you're going to get for hockey in the spring, and they weren't getting those numbers. Mm-hmm. The whole industry's numbers dropped in a way I don't think that those guys who engineered that deal, Pelly included, could have imagined.
No, and across this great land, people can piss on the Toronto Maple Leafs all they want, but a lot of it had to do with that. In the early going, even the last couple of years, the Leafs' early exit, because a lot of it's based on playoffs, right? That's where the focus goes. That's where the numbers are.
Yeah.
That's where the big revenue driver at the end of the year, and the Maple Leafs haven't been part of that, and that hurts. It just hurts because they're so significant in Canada.
Well, and also the Habs. I know you're not a Hab fan, but they were also out early.
Right.
The last couple of playoffs, were they not? Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So that also, it doesn't help that the two biggest teams in Eastern Canada aren't in the playoffs come April and May.
And no Ottawa either.
And
which wouldn't be that significant, but still, it's Eastern Canada.
It's something.
Yes.
And so those numbers that they were expecting, just simply how it works is you go out and you sell to all those national advertisers based on a rate you believe you're going to get, hoping that the Leafs are in the playoffs, or there's some interest in the playoffs, and they just weren't getting them.
Okay. Let's go way back in the time machine, too.
Let's do it.
We have to go way back. Way back.
Want some sound effects? I got sound effects.
Anyway, when I was a young feller doing the bar scene and what have you, and this applied probably up until the past 10, 12 years, we would stay home on a Saturday night, and the minute the game was over, we'd go out.
Yeah.
The game would start at 7, 9:30, 10 o'clock, we'd go out. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen as much anymore because of these devices.
Yeah.
Kids would stay and sit in front of the television set. Now with your Maple Leaf alerts and your highlights you can watch instantly, it's changed the landscape. It's changed the habits of young people.
People commiserate differently now.
That's right, and they're not going to survive on old guys alone.
No.
So I think
old guys watch the game and go to bed.
Exactly. And I think it's not as big a deal now to stay home, watch the game, and then go out. a lot of people, no matter where they are, no matter what they're doing, get alerts. They can watch the highlights. Hey, Marner just scored a goal. Speaking of Marner, I can watch it while I'm in the cab.
Speaking of Marner, did they just make him the captain?
No, he signed a 6-year deal.
Oh, he signed his...
Yeah.
Why did I read something that they were? Someone was like, I don't like when an American becomes captain.
That would be Austin Matthews.
Okay.
They haven't named him yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you were when you were a younger man in the bar scene,
Yes. When I would go to swinging discotheques.
and you would like
fancy.
dance like to songs like this, you slow dance. Hey, doll, the game's over. Let's slow dance now until the wee hours. The 70s. Lanny McDonald had a hat trick.
Back in the days when I did my fly up without even thinking.
That's right. Back in the days, if my fly was undone, there might be trouble.
Hey.
Oh,
Disco.
oh. Slow dance with my future wife. Oh, wait a second.
Fred, is that a rolling pin in your pants? What?
Fred, did you go to the bank and get some pennies? Did you have to change your
No, I like
pennies?
the rolling pin better.
I know you do. Do you have a roll of pennies in your pants?
They were nickels.
Roll a penny up
Do you have a hot rod in your pants, but only one of the mini ones? Yeah, man. You know,
man.
I'll tell you what live sporting event caught my interest while you were gone. I'm not sure about you, but this is a perfect example of how television, this is kind of like the last gasp of television relevance. And it has to do with sports. What are you looking for there, bud?
No, it's just our first thing because I want to. I'm not sure where we're at with that particular sponsor. That's all.
okay.
And
well,
I want to give it a
we're
quick
a ways
review.
away from that.
Okay.
We're not even going to do it this first segment.
Okay.
But I think a lot of Canadians stopped what they were doing and watched Sweet Bianca
And rescue.
That's the first full tennis match I've watched since I smoked cigarettes. I don't know, like a long time. Well, let's talk about this. When was the last time you watched a full? I'm talking about like not just popped in. I mean, I watched that from Sean. Did you watch it?
Yep, watched the whole
start
game.
to finish. I literally, I rushed home to watch it. I wanted to see all of it. I can't remember doing that in tennis for years.
Have you even done that with Brooke Henderson? Because
No.
I've read about this comparison too. I don't think it's completely fair, but we can talk about that later.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see her last round when she won the Canadian women's thing a year ago, but I've turned on television to see how Brooke's doing, but not specifically to watch her whole final round. Like I was riveted by this kid playing. Did you watch any of it, or
No.
you didn't get to see it? Where were you at that time?
Oh, we arrived. I could have watched it. We arrived in time at my wife's uncle's place in Leighton Buzzard, just north of London. We were stay for the night.
I'm sorry, that's the name of a place.
Leighton Buzzard. Beautiful little town.
Come on, you people.
So I said, that's great. We'll get to Lionel's and we'll be able to watch the tennis. She said, you can't do that. I said, I can't do what? We can't go and visit him and you go in and ask to watch the tennis match. And I said, how do you know that he wouldn't want to watch it? No, I don't, maybe he would have mentioned it. I said, doll, we got to ask him to put on the tennis match. Nope. She laid down the law. She said, no, we're there to see Uncle Lionel. We had a nice Indian dinner and everything. A little takeaway. They call it takeaway over there, not takeout, right?
No, I know.
Takeaway.
I've seen movies.
Yeah, no. Okay. You've seen movies?
Seen movies.
Anyway, so I didn't get to see it. So I
I
am with my little, my Gig Sky hooked
Giggy.
up, watching the updates.
Yeah.
And then finally, while we're sitting around this room, looking at each other, I get to proclaim that Bianca has won the U.S. Open.
I love that description. So while we're sitting around a room, just looking at each other outside of Dinky Buzzard Township,
Leighton Buzzard.
whatever, like figure it out, UK, Leighton Buzzard. Come on.
There's a town in Canada called Dildo.
Oh, yes.
There's a town in Canada called Moose Jaw.
Yeah, so I'd go easy on the Leighton Buzzard.
So I'm
Beautiful
sitting
beautiful
around-
little town.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right. So you're sitting around in Leighton Buzzard,
Yeah.
watching each other's talks, talking. Anyway, it really was something. I mean, I know this is live television valid anymore, but it made me sit through. I didn't tape it. I was there when it started, and I watched the whole thing. It was amazing.
And you know what the bonus is too? Women are only 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Instead of 3 out of 5.
No, I know.
Because the 3 out of 5, if it
Boring
goes
as
5
hell.
sets, can
go forever.
You asked me when was the last time. To be honest, I can't even remember the kid's name off the top of. What's his name? Daniel.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Him.
To be honest, a year ago I watched a whole match of his when he
like doubles
singles.
Singles, right?
He was the up and comer and got to the semifinals of some tournament. So I watched that just to answer your question. Mm-hmm. But prior to that, and we've talked about this on the show many times. Back in the 70s, I mean, they were epic events.
Yeah.
Borg and McEnroe and Connors and Yvonne Lendl, they were huge.
Even up to what's his face with the nice hair and went bald.
Oh, yeah, and Andre Agassi.
Agassi was exciting. Yeah. Tennis was different.
It sort of changed with Pete Sampras. He became the king, and he was so bloody boring.
Yeah, boring and great. And same with Nadal and all these guys. Like, I know who they are, but I've never... Venus Williams has won 23 or 24 Grand Slam. Serena has won... Was that Serena who she played?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where was Venus in all this?
In the
Venus
Venus
has had some injury problems.
So Serena has won almost 23 or 24 Grand Slam events. I've never seen any of them until that Saturday when she played our sweet little Bianca. Have we gotten carried away? I mean, they've named streets after this kid.
No.
I thought that was a little premature, but hey, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Well, the first Canadian ever to win a Grand Slam, tennis Grand Slam.
Pretty significant.
Absolutely. We talked to our, Delise talked to her mom, who would be my mother-in-law, just prior to the match, and she said that the country was a buzz.
It was amazing.
That was all the talk.
I'm sorry, I'm still laughing about you. So there I am, just sitting around a room talking. Yeah, that's mostly what people do.
No, I know.
Now we sit around rooms.
And I keep glancing at the telly. That's what they call it over there.
Yeah, really? Yeah, call it a telly.
Yeah. And I know, and I could see earlier in the day when we were there, I could see he got like Sky Sports or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's what they call the sports network over there.
Sky.
And I knew it was there. It was just a feet away, and I couldn't watch it. Mm-hmm. It was aggravating.
And their places are so small, and they're heated by oil.
Mm-hmm.
Oil lamps. I see that in all the movies. All the old movies.
Chimney sweepers.
Yeah, that's right. Did Dick Van Dyke show up and say, "Excuse me, Governor, could you need your chimney sweeps?
May I have some more?"
It is funny. All the refrigerators are smaller over there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the toilets, you still pull the chain.
Electricity barely works. Yeah. Just quickly, though, can we talk about this girl, this Bianca Andreescu, just quickly?
Yeah.
It was... Did you watch it, Sean? You said you did?
Yes. Watch the whole match.
What I loved about it is the Americans. Like, in Arthur Ashe Stadium, 25,000 people screaming for the American woman. Apparently was it Venus? No, it was the other one.
Serena,
sorry. And there she was, this Canadian kid. At one point, put her fingers in her ear. It was so loud.
Mm-hmm.
And then Serena was coming back, and like it was all those things you'd want sports to be. Mm-hmm. Just so great, and such a inspiration too. Just an amazing story.
And I honestly, as Canadians, I think we go into the match thinking, well, she's not going to win, but I hope she does well.
Absolutely.
But, just even the age factor alone, going in, I'm thinking, boy, Serena's 37. This kid's 19, playing really well.
Yeah.
If you get Serena on the run, if that's impossible, you got a pretty good chance. But, again, I didn't see it. I'll tell you, my favorite part of the match, Howie, is when at the end, after she had won, when she laid on the court and just looked up.
It was awesome.
And I'll tell you, it sent shivers up my spine. Shiver me timbers.
Yeah? Did they have shivers over there? What do they call shivers? Tinkles. I've got my tinklies. Anyway, we're going to take a break. We just got started. Fred's back. It's the Humble and Fred show. I'm back. I was away last week. Whatever. Phil was away. Sean was in Georgetown. So much to catch up about, and it's great to have you all back with us. It's Humble and Fred Radio. We're, of course, on the Comedy Superstation Funny 820, and around the world at humbleandfredradio.com.
Carry my word. If you come, it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it worked, but I hit it 9 times.
No, I know. It should hit on the first. Obviously, there's somebody sitting there.
If you're on the East 403,
And what's that?
from
This
the
thing for?
That is pretty
No
solid
idea.
right out toward the junction.
Looks like a light
Now
on
moving
it.
over
Yeah.
to the Toronto
I have
bound
Could it
no
be like
idea.
a status light?
That's also
If they
slow,
hooked it
delays
up, or-
from the
Maybe
right
he just put it in, but it's
You're
not.
good
That's
to
going
go.
on Twitter.
When did he do that?
Fine and on and off
that was on Thursday.
Third.
That was right
And
there.
then heavies, you head into Mississauga.
We were here for about an hour, but
Now, good news if you're traveling southbound on 6 North.
Mike was really confident that it'd be fixed.
Holy hell.
Anyway, Gene Velitis is moving back here.
Yeah, I saw that.
I sent him a note and I said, what's going on with the thing? I'll give you the answer.
Is he
Apparently
Yeah, it's
Googled
chain
screws him up
immigration, as
and
he calls it?
Chain tweeting.
not doing
Yeah, I'm
that
guilty
thing
according to
now or
Donald Trump.
something.
My wife is chain immigration. That's
Some
what he calls
explanation
family
about
property.
Google and it's like, oh, okay.
Even though Melania's parents just became citizens.
I saw that
that's
stuff
not
from
chain
Steve
immigration
Kersner
American,
too.
Even though they're immigrants.
No, I know, right?
Like that, yeah. Like, do these people think we were born yesterday? He's got agencies that wanna.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, right, sure he does.
Yeah. All the agencies want to sign
No, I
up.
know. Like, they're
Really
forgetting who
never
they're
falls.
asking.
And she goes, isn't that far? No, you can drive. Who's driving?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, all the agencies are lying. So I'm going to talk to him and say, yeah, here's what you should charge them for your 1,400 fucking listeners.
We should talk about it.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. You're going to, actually, you know what? I've got me doing Gig Sky. I'll do the chamber plan. You do Gig Sky, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But start with the Sherpa. Anything. Just go to his website.
Okay.
You don't need to talk about what he's... I can't even remember what he fucking talked about last time.
No, yeah. No, I was just going to use the last page. That's all.
Nah, it's not. Nothing. No, it was really something. She got ahead
I would
early.
have loved to have seen it.
She got ahead early, and then Serena came back. In the second set, it was almost like, I think what happened was Bianca just fucking, in the first set, all her first serves were in play. She had a lot of aces, and she was really like dominating. And then I think what happened was she was kind of like, fuck, I'm winning this thing and handling, right?
Yeah.
Because you notice how a
I
little
don't
bit of the
It
nerves
wasn't
got-
cockiness, but it was like,
No,
yeah,
but she was
I
just
can
like,
win.
this is, yeah, I can win. Then all of a sudden it got like, I think it kind of sunk in that she was like, could possibly win the fucking match.
Like, the game could be
Yeah,
over
and
right
there was
here.
a couple of games or like in the second set where she lost. She
It was
kept
like,
losing.
Serena's not going down.
She's not going away, and you know
Yeah.
it's fucking Serena Williams, who's
But
pretty
it was-
goddamn good.
So I like though at the beginning of the game, it all really started with Bianca, like deciding the coin floss.
Coin floss, yes.
Yeah, that coin floss.
The coin floss.
The coin toss.
It's too bad
but-
that wasn't on the show. The
Gave-
coin floss.
Gave Serena the starting serve,
yeah.
which just threw Serena right off.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll take your best. Ho. Humble and Fred are back in the top 200. Humble and Fred.
That's right.
Top 200.
I'm gonna.
It's funny, we're always
Claim a
in the
bit of
same
that.
group of guys. Us, John Cleese, Aisha Taylor, Jay Moore, Todd Glass. We're always in the same kind of area. It's weird.
This is the second last, if not the last one. I can't tell you.
Here, but there
No one
for
sent me
you.
a chart.
That's what you were asking for, right?
Here we go.
Sherpa.
Yeah. It's okay.
Mm. Now that I'm alone. And welcome back. It's Humble and Fred. Look at us. Just like all the other radio people. Humble and Fred are doing some fall radio for the 30th time in our careers. We are on the radio in the fall. Or the 30th year. Are we still doing anything with that? I get the feeling no one cares.
Why?
I don't know. Listen, man.
Well, we're doing an event.
Oh, we don't have it. We got nothing. It's September 16th. We have planned.
The event
nothing.
was going to be the end of November.
Yeah, but nothing is planned.
Okay, well, we're back at it now.
Yeah, well, when? Are we going to do some planning?
I just got back.
When?
It was the summer,
Saturday?
and now I'm back, and it's mid-September. We're going to put some things together and have an event.
I'm fine just to have a few friends over for cake. No.
Okay. Fine.
Now I'm fine with just a few friends over for cake.
That's fine. I agree.
Cake and tea. Cake and tea.
I agree. You know what? Weddings and funerals are stupid. So are basic celebrations now.
Yeah.
Forget it.
All celebrations are stupid.
Yep.
And I knew this was going to happen. That's why in February and March we were having meetings. I said, guys, what's going to happen? The summer's going to come. We're all just going to have sex with dogs. You know that phrase? We're all going to, you know. Then the summer will be over, and we'll be like, oh, yeah, we were going to do that thing. I admit it.
What do you... Okay. There's October. There's November.
Not enough time.
For what?
For a big celebration.
All right. That's fine. Hey, that's easier.
I want to, you know, I'm at the time in my life now. I just want to do what's easier. I don't have much time left.
Cup of soup and a piñata?
I like that.
Yeah.
Cup of soup.
I love you.
What are you guys doing for your 30th? Cup of soup and a piñata.
You got
followed by cake and tea.
You got a couple of pains in your stomach.
Pain?
You're rushed to emergency.
Ooh. Now, you didn't know that, did you, Phil?
And now
he's rushed to emergency.
He doesn't have much time.
Not much time left.
What? And Doll says I overreact.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Did she say that?
Yeah.
Is your fly still in there? Anyway, the reason I brought up the fall radio is that there's just the whole city is filled with radio billboards and radio people contests and things. It's just cute.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to outdo themselves. Listen to this radio show because radio's cool. And now here we are. We're doing some cool radio ourselves.
Yeah, you remember that, what that was like in September?
Oh, yeah.
Working at the big radio stations, Howard, everything was about. But back then, some of it made sense to actually have those contests and try to woo people to fill you out on their thing.
Which we're
I got to watch what I say. Yeah. On your thing.
On our thing.
Yeah, what's that guy? Your thing. You know.
I get it. No,
my zipper's open. Inside, there's a thing. Right.
That's right. That's what Doll calls it. That thing.
The billboard.
Oh,
that's what I was talking about.
Is it time for that thing to come out again?
Thing time again.
Is it thing time again? Ooh. Geez, look, it's my birthday.
It's my birthday. Ooh. There's a spring in my thing.
Listen.
Anyway, let's move on from that.
I want to talk about the retirement Sherpa who was in here while you were gone. Amazing. Great man.
Hey, listen, Tim Niblett is a portfolio manager, Raymond James, a member of the Canadian Investors Protection Fund. If you're looking for an enjoyable, trusting relationship that grows, not stagnates, Tim is your man. If you want regular meetings and communication that fit your realities and needs, Tim is your man. Clarity of goals, both short and long term, something to think about. Tim is your man. He is the man. He's Tim Niblett, the Retirement Sherpa. Go to retirementsherpa.ca. Hook up with Tim if you want to direct your money properly. Wealth management. Retire a millionaire.
Phil.
That's true.
Help us out here with your Strain Print Companion app. Are you using it for all your...
I actually know someone who should use it, actually.
Who's that?
My dad, who recently
Papa.
retired. He's a bit antsy and calling me all the time, so I'm thinking I should recommend him Strain Print, because you
Yes.
can use cannabis better, and there are hundreds, thousands of strains available. Everyone processes cannabis differently, and so easily track and journal your cannabis experience to better understand what the best strains are for you, reach optimal symptom relief, and live your best life. Strain Print, available for free on Apple or Google Play or strainprint.ca.
Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. Welcome everybody. Welcome back. I don't know. I sort of divided the show up into a few different segments, and I thought we should spend some time talking about your trip. We should spend some time talking about Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if we have a chance, we can talk about me being, rushed to emergency. I spent the better part of Saturday night and half of Sunday in emergency at St. Joseph's Health Center Hospital in Toronto. I'll just say this. If you live in the suburbs, go to the hospital there. Because the hospital in the big city is no place for you people. Anyway, we'll talk about that later, I guess.
All right.
If you want.
Well, we got all week to talk about that. Because I'm sure you'll keep getting pains and different feelings. And
You know what? You're really funny because...
when I see you get sort of...
If we could just go back a year to terp season of
2018.
Yeah. If we could just go back to the terp episode of the Humble and Fred, the terp season.
Right.
All we talked about was you
Right.
and your wiener hole.
And I said we'll probably talk about it all week. Because, see, you're getting recurring pains.
Yes.
I can see the squint on your face, and then so during the week we'll have Humble
you're right.
Alert.
I'll just let everyone know that I don't have much time. Don't you miss terp season?
Yes, I did.
I don't know, whatever season that was of our Netflix show.
On the 26th, it'll be the 1 year anniversary of my changed life. You know
When
what
you-
it was
when you
like to be
called
away?
me.
You know what it was like being away in Airbnbs and relatives' bedrooms and stuff, and not have to get up 3 or 4 times a night to pee? Just think about that.
How many times a night do you get up to pee?
Maybe once.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I get up
never.
once.
Sometimes never.
But I get up once. That's normal, isn't it?
But here's the position I was in years ago. Say
Is it
Lisa's
normal?
Uncle Lionel lives in a smaller house in England, as you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 2 bedrooms and the bathroom's just short jog down the hall. Imagine that, though. You go to bed thinking, oh, man, I'm going to be getting up 4 times tonight. You know, that they're going to be wondering, what the hell's going on? Has he got the diarrhea or something? You know what I mean?
Well, they would be wondering that about you.
It was the takeaway.
They'd be like, Freddie, has he got the rhea? He's got the rhea.
No, but it's nice to take that out.
But you didn't answer. Is 1 time a night normal for a man my age?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Because I can't add prostate to the list of the many other things wrong with me now. Okay, well, we'll talk about my my health issues a little bit later if we get a chance. Because I'm sure, as you say, they'll be... This isn't going away anytime soon. Right. So super. You went away, though. And do you want to do it this way? Like, you give us kind of a quick overview of where you went, and then, give me some highlights. I have some questions.
No, I know.
I want to talk about Liverpool and
Okay.
that Beatles thing, but
Yeah,
give me
fantastic.
sort of an idea.
Planet Earth, it's a wonderful, wonderful place. It really is. And listen, a lot of people listening have been to England, Ireland, Scotland. I'll just say, if you haven't, it's a great part of the world to visit, as you have. I mean, Ireland, they call it the Emerald Island. It was beautiful. We lucked out with the weather pretty much the whole 3 weeks.
Wow.
But I went to Dublin and, in Belfast, and I did the hop-on, hop-off things, which I like to do. It gives you an overview, and then you can go back. And then we went up to something called the Giant's Causeway where, this volcanic formations. You have to see it. You can't even take pictures. Just remarkable, and it was a clear day. And
What do you mean you're not allowed to take pictures?
oh, you can, but there's no use. It's like
Doesn't
taking
do
a
it
picture of the
justice.
Grand Canyon.
It's
There's
like
no,
what?
it doesn't
do
know
it
justice.
justice.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
There's no justice.
I thought maybe there was like the ban of pictures.
And telephone cameras. I mean, forget it. It just doesn't do this stuff. And I'm standing there and I look across this bay, and the walking tour guide says, what you see over there is the north coast of Scotland, and it sort of just takes your breath away.
Yeah.
And then hopped over to Liverpool, which was
just
the
hang on a
city.
second. You started in Ireland.
Yes.
Then went to Scotland.
No, then Liverpool.
So Ireland, then to Liverpool.
Right. And from Liverpool up to Scotland. Did Glasgow and Edinburgh. Edinburgh is everything everybody ever said it was.
You know, I was just in Edinburgh a couple summers ago on my way home. And I'd been there before with my father. It's a beautiful city. Glasgow is fine. I drove through Glasgow. It's like kind of Scottish Hamilton.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing special. And the bad weather we had just happened to be Glasgow, so it sort of added to the sort of gloominess of it.
But I was going to say, you know, on one side of Glasgow is the industrial side, but on the other side, just like Hamilton, there's this beautiful bay, and it looks nice. There are parts of it, you know, because Hamilton's a home, Phil. How dare you?
But you know, driving through the English countryside, like from Liverpool up to Glasgow, I mean, you know, there's points where you go, well, I could be in Ontario, and then all of a sudden, no, you're not in Ontario. It's just, you know, the rolling hills and everything's just so lush. And what blew me away about Ireland in particular was palm trees. I didn't know they had palm trees in Ireland.
First I heard of it.
In downtown London, they have palm trees because of the what do you call it? The Gulf Stream.
Oh, yes.
You know, the ground never freezes there, so they can have palm trees. And it was just funny seeing these little places in Ireland, these homes with palm trees in front of them. You think, wait, where am I? And it was great. And then we drove from Edinburgh down into Leighton Buzzard, and that countryside is just so spectacular. It really is. And everywhere I went, I tried beers, and the beers were so good and outstanding. And yes, Guinness tastes different in Ireland than it does anywhere else.
Is that why your fly keeps coming over now? Because you're big fat beer face? Beer boy?
Without a doubt. Although, I don't know if I gained it. I may have gained a couple of pounds there. I walked 250 kilometers.
What? How do you know that?
Had the thing.
What's that?
The stepper thing that, you know, the tracks your thing, yeah.
What kind of thing did you have?
A Fitbit.
Where'd you get
Doll
that?
had it, and so did Laverne.
Nice.
Delisa's cousin. And we knew it was good because they both said the same thing. But 250 kilometers. What's that? 150 miles, whatever?
Yeah.
So
and you add that up without even realizing it.
Of course.
But the wonderful beers, each place I went, I would try the local beer, and I'll tell you, so tasty, so delicious. Like, not once did I have a Bud Light or a Budweiser, and they have all that stuff over there. But really good. And I ate some fantastic stuff.
Did you have fish and chips?
No. Oh, I did one night, but that stuff goes right through me, you know.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. The batter on the fish. And it did.
So when you were at Lightning Buzzard, did you have to go to the bathroom in that tiny home and take a crap so that everyone could hear you?
No. It was in Ireland I had the
What's wrong with Fred?
He had a lightning buzzer.
You know what I had? I had ox cheek.
Nice.
Have you ever had ox cheek?
No, sir. I didn't know they had cheeks.
Yeah. And it was on the menu in Ireland, and I said to the woman, I said, "What is ox cheek?" And she said, "It's an ox's cheek, literally an ox's cheek." And it was like well done roast beef. It was delicious. And of course, I had a haggis and blood pudding.
Yeah, the blood pudding I've tried now on several occasions, and I can't do it.
No?
No.
And I had pork belly. Oh. Yeah. Lots of Indian food. I think I'm actually missing something else that I had. But anyway, I tried as many different foods as I could, which was fantastic.
So, well, of course, and that doesn't surprise me, but I want to hear now, if you will, take a moment, because, you know, I'm a big Beatle fan, like yourself. What was that like, going to Liverpool? I mean, I've seen it on, you know, the telly. But when you're there, what's that feel like?
Well, we just happened to get there where the Liverpool Museum of Art had a John and Yoko exhibit on, which was fascinating. Went and saw that. And then I took the Magical Mystery Tour, which is the bus that's about 2 hours and goes through Liverpool. And it's, you know, you get out at Penny Lane, and you just stand there, and they explain all sorts of stuff. You go to George Harrison's home, you actually get off the bus and walk up this little cobblestone way and then turn a corner, and there's this unassuming home. I think he was born there, actually. Oh. And there was a great story, because there's people that still live there, that were there when he was a kid. And apparently there's a story of an old man that lived across the courtyard, and he was sitting on a bench one day, not, you know, I think in the late 90s. And he was sitting there one day, and George Harrison just happened to walk around the corner to see the old place and was talking to this old guy. And then apparently a year later, Harrison came back. And when he looked at the old guy who was still sitting there, said, "Hey, still sitting there, are you?" Anyway, that's the story they tell. And then you get out at Paul McCartney's house, which is fascinating because you get off the bus and you walk up this street, and it's designated,
like a historical
site. Yeah. Although he doesn't get the blue badge. The blue badge is for dead people, right? So on John Lennon's house, where he grew up with his aunt and uncle, where his mother was killed, and you drive right by the road where she was killed. There's like a blue badge on the house that, that house can never be. Well, Yoko bought it a few years ago and turned it over to the city, and now they do tours. And I, of course, naively tried to get a tour of that house, but it's booked up like for centuries.
So when you're there, though, because I know it would affect me, just seeing all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, as hokey as it sounds, that's a pretty important part of my life and your life too. That band. It must. Did you have that sort of sensation of this is where it all began and how?
Absolutely. Like they said, when you get off the bus and go up to Paul McCartney's house, it literally says, I think it says on the thing in front of the house that this was Paul McCartney's house. I think it says the birth of the Beatles. That's where the Beatles were born. You're looking at this house, which is like, I think it's a semi. It's not as small as George's was or whatever, but you're just looking at this house, and that it was in, and again, you can do a tour of that house too, but you got to book months in advance. In that house is where Lennon and McCartney started the Beatles, where they wrote their first songs together. And if you've seen, the James Corden thing with Paul McCartney, where they go back to that house. And I just thought of that, his old man sitting in there, and they're putting songs together and running them by his dad. And it all happened right there. The literal birth of this band. And you see Ringo Starr's place too, but they only show you down a courtyard again as you're driving by.
I'm assuming that's not booked up months in advance.
No, but it's still Ringo Starr's house, man. It's
I know.
Like it's something else. I mean, he was a member of the Beatles, and
I know.
We like to make fun of that, his position on the band, but it was still Ringo Starr's house. And
no, but I will tell you, it wouldn't give me the same feeling as looking at Paul McCartney or John Lennon's house. It just wouldn't.
Well, when we went by Lennon's house, there was a tour just coming out of the home, and it's a semi for sure. And on the other half, the guy was outside washing his car. And I was thinking, what's that like for him? Like tours all day long through that home. Like, is he compensated or something?
Yeah, I was going to say, he's got to get some.
I would think.
Yeah, there's got to be something.
It was a nice gesture by Yoko. She bought the house and turned it over to the city. But, yeah, it's everything. Yeah, I had those feelings. It really is somewhat emotional. You stop at Penny Lane, you see the church where they used to perform in their early days, and the high school or the school they went to, and on and on and on, all that stuff. And you just think, wow, so much history. Pop culture history.
Yeah, I mean,
but even beyond that.
Well, and not only did that start the band, the Beatles, but the band, the Beatles. You could argue if you wanted that they're responsible for an entire generation of music that we all grew up on. Certainly the artists of the '60s, '70s, and '80s all were Beatle. They were all influenced. The same, and I use this analogy, the same way that you can trace almost all modern golfers right now in this era back to Tiger Woods. They all play because of him. Well, a lot of musicians play because of those guys who got together at that house. So I don't know what you were like, but I know it would give me chills to see.
Well, I
that.
told you, when I saw Paul McCartney perform at the ACC a few years ago when he first came out on the stage, it broke me. Like, I was actually, do you call it crying?
No, but
I was
tearing up. Yeah,
tearing up.
Welling up.
And on that thing, it was just, I loved every stinking minute of it because it was so historic and so fascinating and so meaningful to me for all the things you just said, growing up with the band. And
so after, just quickly though, Liverpool was not the end of your trip.
No.
You went to London?
Yeah.
London, okay.
What I will say about London, a lot of people have been there. It's a huge city. It's a great city. That subway system is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And you just wonder, all the foot dragging here in Toronto, and I know Toronto isn't London, not even close. But there's subways under subways under subways. Like, some of those tunnels you get down are like down, 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 because there's a subway line running above it. It really is remarkable.
Yeah.
And then you talk about, the flight home, how vast it was a clear day coming home on Saturday, how vast that Atlantic Ocean is. I mean, you're flying for hours over water. And then all of a sudden I could see, they had the flight tracker.
Yeah, I love that.
As we approached Newfoundland, just unbelievable how beautiful Newfoundland is. I only caught the St. John's and the lower portion of it. But I'll tell you, that gives you an emotional feeling, too. You're going along you're going across the Atlantic for all these hours, and then all of a sudden you look at that landmass, and that's Canada. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty
And how do you
cool.
feel like you were back? I talked to you last night. You didn't seem to have any jet lag or...
No. I got home. It was a 5-hour difference. I got home Saturday at about 5:30. I think about 7:45 I laid down, fell asleep, and then I got up at the time I would to come to the show, so I was fine. So I had a good, 7:45 to 5:30 sleep.
So you went to sleep Saturday night at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
And woke up Sunday morning at
5:30 our time. And then I
drank-
thought, this is cool because this is what time I have to get up tomorrow.
No, I know. Yeah. And through all those hours, I was being given life-saving
If
attention.
I'd have known, I would have come home earlier.
What?
Seriously, I would have got the Friday flight.
No, but I wasn't in a hospital Friday. I was in a
okay.
hospital Saturday.
Oh, I would have come right from the airport to the hospital.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If I'd
You
known.
laid down Saturday night at 8 o'clock, and I was in emergency, wondering if this was the end. If this was the end. And you would have been sleeping your little jet-lag fantasy holiday off whilst I was being tagged and put in the morgue. You wouldn't have heard about it until the news.
I feel bad for you.
Do you?
I do, but you'll be okay.
I don't know about that.
Hey, one other note.
No, Key, I want more notes.
Okay, one other. When I didn't go to Abbey Road because I talked to some people and I told you I'm not taking the Abbey Road picture of the four of us while I'm putting it on Facebook. But here's what I did. We were in London in this little town called East Croydon where I was staying.
Oh, yes.
And we were walking along, me and my buddy Doug, and then, the stripes across the street that you see on Abbey Road, there was a section there. So I got him to take a picture of me walking across there. And I said, here's what I'm going to do, Doug. I'm going to put this on Facebook and say, I finally got something off my bucket list. I've walked across Abbey Road.
Right.
And then I want to see how long it takes for people to say, that's not Abbey Road.
Good one.
So I'll put it on the Humble and Fred
Do it.
Facebook, okay, and see what the reaction is.
Do.
You like that one?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Then, you know what? Can we do just one little thing?
What?
Can we get a little Photoshop of your fly down and Paul McCartney's face where your wiener would be?
I could only dream.
Come on.
I could only dream.
Okay. That's really interesting. I liked it. Now, was it expensive?
It was different. The first week in Ireland, the house was free that we stayed in. And the last...
Why was it free?
Because Laverne, Doug's wife, Doll's cousin, has a great friend she works with who is going to retire in Ireland. And they've been building their retirement home. They bought this little row house and then built up and back. It's
Nice.
unbelievable, this place. Like it's brand new.
So did they know you were staying in it, or you just
Sneaked in.
just snuck in?
Anyway, it had a
staying here now.
great room. It had a great room, a gourmet kitchen. It had a terrace out back with a barbecue. We got that for free.
Wow.
For
And
a
then
week.
the second week, or you said the last week, you also got to stay.
Yeah, Doug and Laverne's daughters, for the last 5 nights for nothing. So what it cost
they
me
live
is,
there in London?
Yeah, his daughter does. Yeah,
Really?
she met a guy from Britain while he was working here in Toronto.
Nice.
And now they're going to get married, but they live in London. And they had a barbecue as well. So that first week, I hit the restaurant wall pretty quickly. So we got to eat a lot in the first week and the last week.
Nice.
So, cost, it's hard for me to say. Not as much as it could have been,
Yeah.
which is always good.
Oh, absolutely. I know that makes any holiday better.
Oh, doesn't it?
For sure it does. And again, you came back from your vacation, and I was in emergency.
I know.
Could have been on the cusp of the end.
I'm real. You know what?
Humble and Phil.
I should have canceled my trip.
Phil and Fred. Yeah, you should have canceled your trip. Knowing
I
that
should have known you were going to get sick.
I was going to go to emergency.
See, it's pain. You know what it is? It's pining pains for me. That's what it was.
That's right.
You've never been apart for
So
3
long.
weeks. Yeah.
So long. We got to take a break. We'll come back. And more of this nonsense. Yes, I went to the hospital. Yes, Phil went to Costa Rica. Phil's covered. Here's how, like, literally covered in mosquito bites.
Pretty much.
The
Rubella.
Costa Rican bugs have fallen in love with our Phil. No surprise. It's Humble and Fred Radio.
Lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. Though I know I'll never lose affection.
Oh, okay. I didn't see him.
No, I know. You never know. Yeah, but I ain't gonna be drinking a beer for a couple of weeks now.
Ooh, no?
Only because I just drank so much.
Had a
I
few
almost
minutes.
lost my taste for it. Huh?
Oh, yeah. And they're all kind of like thicker in the same bit.
Like I'd go into a pub and I'd say, oh, I'll try. Like, where's that from? Oh, just the place up the road. I'd say, give me one of those.
Yeah.
And it would be like, only
Drinking
one.
with the
There was
iron
only
tub.
one time I drank a beer and thought, I'm not big on it.
Yeah, it's either a barrel of wood or a barrel of metal taste. I was just thinking though, that whole when you're talking about the flight tracker there,
Mm-hmm.
that's like a smoker's favorite part of an airplane. I remember that.
How long till I can have a butt?
Oh, like I'm close to land now. Like there's land coming up. Not that much longer till I can get out and have a smoke.
That's
I
amazing.
didn't even know Danny did a blog here. Fuck, isn't that terrible? I don't follow him on Facebook.
You know the way Newfoundland's shaped? It's that chunk and then it goes big. Well, we went over the little chunk, and it's just amazing. I can see St. John's, which looks like a hick town, of course. How much of that uninhabited fucking, like no highways, no roads, like, it's amazing.
Yeah. So close to the States yet not full of people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling DK, happy retirement. You always have a place. You always have. You can always come work with us again. Always come work with us if you get really bored. I know I'm thinking about it.
Okay, Chucha, Gig Sky, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do the chamber plan. Oh.
Who are we golfing with tomorrow? Is that a tournament?
No, it's just Mike Neighbors and the general sales manager of the place.
So who are you golfing with?
I'll ride with Neighbors. Unless you want to ride with me. Would you rather ride with me?
No, I thought maybe you'd ride with the sales manager.
If you, that makes
No,
sense.
I'm just saying for business reasons.
No, only because I know Neighbors wants to ride.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. That's fine. I'll ride with the other guy. That's great.
Yeah. I've just been, only because I've been talking golf with him all summer.
And I saw that. I saw France.
She comes across like diamonds, diamonds, easy in love when the lights are low. She comes into focus, focus, the closer she gets, the more I know. She takes more whiskey than I wine, I wine. She comes comes across like diamonds, diamonds. Easy in love when the lights are low.
And we're back. Yeah, it's fall time, everybody. Leaves are changing, although we're going to have some really nice weather this week, some early 20s. I just encourage everyone to take a moment, Phil. Like, look around.
Yeah, contemplate.
Can you fill your heart with gratitude? Okay? Do you know how lucky we are, Phil?
Very lucky.
Well, I'll tell you. Once you've been in the hospital like myself, what are you making that face for? I was in... Why do you don't think it's serious?
You look
do you?
so hurt today.
You have no idea. You have...
I know.
You don't go to the hospital because you don't have something wrong with you.
You're right. You're right. You win.
I don't want to win. To a 20, how old are you?
Old enough.
Well,
Party.
To a kid like yourself, you can only imagine going to the hospital of like, oh, you don't look too hurt. Like, did you get an axe in the chin? No, I didn't get an axe in the chin, Sean. I'm sick. I'm deathly ill. Just know it. Just enjoy whatever time we have together.
I'm so afraid.
Have together and what time we have left, Phil.
What major organs are down there?
We got a lot of major organ difficulties. You got your liver, your pancreas, your gallbladder. Over here is your spleen. All of it kind of in your top of your stomach.
Have they ruled out the big C?
Oh, there's not. We're not ruled out anything. What? That's just sent Phil into gales of laughter. Phil's like, oh my God, I had no idea it was going to be funny cancer.
Well, it was a couple of months ago. Remember we did a whole, I think, half hour on some kind of cancer I might have? Remember that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do I?
I don't know.
I don't know. What was the kind of cancer
And I thought,
we
or maybe it was a third party that we were making fun of. Anyway.
Oh, you know
which
us.
you shouldn't do.
You know us. We're always making fun of something with the cancer.
So hopefully it's not that, eh,
Well,
Howie? Mm-hmm. We wouldn't want that.
Here's the thing. If it is, it'll be great content for the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So, Sean, you're saying I don't look like I went to emergency.
No, you just look healthy. It's Monday morning for you here.
How does one look like they've been to emergency?
Well, I guess Sean wants me to like have bandages or
crutches or
you know. At one point Saturday night, they hooked me up to a heart machine called an EKG. It's also called an ECG, electrocardiogram. And they put all these patches on you, and then they hook up the electric, the cables to you, and then they monitor your heart. And then when I came home at around 2 a.m, I realized I still had these little things on me.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that of all the things that I went through on Saturday before I went to the hospital, because I got to be feeling pretty crappy as a physician myself. And first thing I did is I called Alkesh Patel, Dr. Patel from Ringside Medical, and I described what was going on. Anyway, of all the things that happened to me, the most painful thing was taking these off my chest. Like, do you have hair on your chest?
I do.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the one place.
Like, dude, like, I was in... There's about 15 of them on, and I didn't realize she had left them on.
Was that just a pain you got?
No, that was the
okay.
idea of... Oh, no, I've got pain. I'm in pain right now.
No, but you just went, But
no, that was reliving.
You were reenacting.
I was doing a bit of an act.
Reenacting, yes. Okay.
So that stuff was painful. Why did I have that? Because when you get... I thought I had a gallbladder attack. I went to my doctor in the middle of the day. I'd been feeling kind of crappy for about a week. It felt like I had the flu. And it would come and go. And that's why I thought, I must be getting better, because I felt the weekend before this weekend, I was like kind of not feeling well. I had one of the RIAs. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. There's 2 RIAs. There's Ghana and there's Daya.
Oh, right.
And of the 2 RIAs, Daya is the one you want.
Which one?
Daya.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you don't want Ghana.
Often if you have Ghana, you get the Daya.
Oh, yeah. You can get both.
But just because you have the Daya doesn't mean you have the Ghana. Remember those things.
Yeah. So the reason it went away, because what would happen is depending on what I ate, I'd start to feel bad.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And then I felt fine during the week, and then come this last Friday, I started to feel the same pain again, and then I went to my doctor in the middle of the day Saturday, and he said it might be. I've been on this pretty heavy anti-inflammatory off and on all summer called Toradol, and it's got a bit of a reputation as being hard on people's stomachs. And I thought, well, he said maybe it's just irritated you somehow, and I've been taking it all summer and I haven't had any trouble. He said, but if this pain continues, we should probably get you an ultrasound to see if it is your gallbladder. You may be developing gallstones, as you do. Mm-hmm. So I went home and it never got better. And as the afternoon wore on, I started feeling, that kind of feeling like something's wrong with me. Like the pain would come and go, and I'd lay there, and I was, it was kind of all over my lower cavity underneath my rib cage where it still hurts now. And so I took my daughter Charlie to the airport. She went home to New York, and then I was driving home, and I was like, again, not feeling well. And I came home and I started feeling a little bit dizzy. And then the pain got worse, and I started thinking, okay, I'm by myself here in the house, and if something really goes wrong, I don't know what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. So I waited for a couple hours. It got worse and worse and worse, and I texted Rachel, and I said, can you come over? I think you should take me to the hospital. She's like, are you serious? Because I'm such a jokester. She didn't think she thought I was kidding. She thought I was like, hey, do you want to come over and, take me to the hospital, like a euphemism for,
nurse.
Let's play doctor.
Question, why would you call her to take you to the hospital? Why wouldn't you just Uber over to the hospital?
Well, because I thought
that she'd be sitting in the hospital for hours waiting on you.
Which she didn't. I just thought in case I didn't go to the hospital, didn't want to be alone.
Oh.
I didn't want to be alone because in case because I was really feeling pretty crappy. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm not describing it well, but that kind of feeling when something's wrong. I was dizzy and I was feeling a little bit faint. I had a fever. I had a lot of stuff going on. And I thought, well, if she comes over and it goes away, then I'll have her here. And if at least I'll have somebody will notice if I just start to die.
Good thinking. Stan doesn't know mouth to mouth.
But you know what I mean? And that's what I thought. And then she ended up taking me there around 7:30, and around 9:30 when we got taken from one waiting room to another, where it looks like you're in one of those futuristic movies where all the population is in one space and moaning, and it's not good. One guy was I didn't let her stay there. I said just go home.
One guy was what?
One guy literally was in I was sitting when we first got into that area, I'm sitting next to Rachel, and there's a guy in handcuffs, half naked, some kid, couldn't tell if he was like 25 or 40, but clearly drunk and had some mental issues and was yelling at the cops and yelling at everybody around. It was quite the scene. And I said, honey, just go home. I'll be fine here for a while. Mm-hmm. So anyway, they hooked me up, found out that what'd they find out? They did some blood tests, and my blood came back fine. They couldn't do an ultrasound because the ultrasound people shut down, but that turned out I didn't have gallstones. I don't have a gallbladder problem. What they think it is I have some kind of maybe a gastrointestinal problem. Could be an ulcer, but it's made me feel sort of sick is how I feel. You know what I mean? Not so as I'd stay home from school, but right now I just sort of feel a little bit like I've kind of got a mild flu. Don't feel bad anymore, and I'm not throwing up or anything. The one one other worrisome thing is that they hooked me up to this heart monitor that I was talking about, and they found out that I have a abnormal arrhythmia. So now I've got to go and get
What, your heart?
Yeah.
It's not in rhythm.
It's not walking in rhythm, no. Now, I have to go see a cardiologist. I have to go get a stress test, which is all good because my annual physical was coming up in a couple weeks anyway. So I thought, all right, I'll just do all of this, and this will be good to know. The doctor I saw Sunday morning was different than the one I saw in the middle of the night. Dr. Mike, he examined me, and he didn't think, there was anything wrong with my heart. He said, that happens a lot to people when they go to the hospital. Their heart gets a little bit weird.
Blood pressure goes up.
All that stuff. And then he spent quite a bit of time with me. And I stayed in emergency Sunday morning for hours. And then at the end of the exam, he said, oh, by the way, I just got to tell you, I love the podcast. Yeah. Then we had the Humble and Fred talk, and he was great. But it was funny how he waited.
How old was he?
40s, mid-40s. But he'd been a big fan of ours, back in the day when we had fans. But he was a podcast guy, and he said, I kind of got out of the habit of listening to it. You guys, he said he was listening to us on satellite as well, and I said, well, we're on tomorrow morning. You can tune in. But I don't know. I'm going to get my heart checked out. I mean, you know what it's like. It takes a lot for a guy, even one that has as much medical information as I have, for me to go to the hospital. It was a real, because I had to cancel. I was supposed to play on this team event Sunday morning that I had qualified for. So I had a lot of, it was a lot kind of like, should I do this?
But your heart wasn't in it.
My what? My
your heart
yeah.
wasn't in it.
But you know what it's like? I mean,
I know.
In order for me to say, okay, I'm so sick right now that I don't think I'll be better tomorrow morning. I better go to the hospital because this isn't normal what I'm feeling.
Right.
It's a lot, and that's. I would only say this: a lot of men die because they're afraid to go and ask for help. It's true. Your friend did. We have all. It's not uncommon. And like I said, It took me a while to get my head around the fact that I'm by myself here. I don't feel well. And the prospect of being in this house all Saturday night, if something should get worse, made me decide to go to the hospital.
Good move.
It's a long night there, though. It really is. You're there, and unless it's an emergency, because there were emergencies, all night long, and it was packed. Saturday night in Toronto,
Those are the situations, if you have a really good book that you're into, be able to take. Because you know how quick time goes by if you're into a good book. Or listen to podcasts or something. Something to take your mind off of, I'm before that guy. How did he get in?
Well, here's what I did. The smartest thing I did before we left is I'm sicker than that guy.
Yeah. Or somebody comes in after you and they're called in before.
Right.
Just because they've got like an axe in their face.
It's like, how severe?
So I did one smart thing and one thing I wish I had done differently. One is I brought my charger. Just before we left, I said to Rachel, let me get my charger, because I know I'm going to be there for a while.
Yep.
I wish I would have brought my headphones, because I basically spent hours doing what you said, reading. I have a book on my phone I was reading and just kind of whiling away the time. I just wish I could have watched a movie. You'll love this, Philip. I used a gig, maybe more, an entire gig of data on Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Wow. That's a lot of watching.
Well, it's a lot of being on your phone.
That's very true.
The other thing I should have done, too, is I should have brought my hotspot, my Gig Sky, because for some reason, the Wi-Fi wasn't very good in emergency.
In the hospital.
Yeah. Although that's a good place over there. They you know what? They do their best over there. St. Joseph's.
I think they all do their best,
But it's a madhouse in there.
Yeah. And not to be that cold, but when Delise broke her wrist there New Year's Eve, and we went to the hospital in Peterborough, several people in the emergency, and I know my heart goes out to them, and I've got to be politically correct, but we're there because they were piss drunk and got in fights with each other and broke bones because they were piss drunk. And I know alcoholism is horrible, and all those things.
Sure.
But I'm just thinking, the selfishness sometimes of those situations. And the doctors and nurses that have to spend their time with these... do I even go here?
These people who go into violent tirades like that.
And they need help, and I feel sorry for them and everything. But so much of that they have to deal with. Like this morning coming to work, there's a shooting again on the 410, and I'm just thinking, the road's blocked off, people aren't getting to work, emergency services, the hospitals, the police, all taken up because somebody got disrespect or something.
Oh, yeah. Citizens.
Regular citizens, yeah. So.
Well, in the hospital Saturday night, that one guy that we came in and he was handcuffed and half naked. It was funny because I said to Rachel, I said, it's interesting. You wouldn't describe him as fat, but he wasn't skinny either. He's like one of those people in between, like not really a shape, and his shorts were down halfway down his ass, and he was yelling. He's got his handcuffs on, piss drunk.
When you first walked in, you thought it was me. What's Fred doing here? Jesus Christ.
I said, what?
Yeah.
What? And he was yelling about the Liberals.
What?
I'm like, honey, look, Fred's back from Liverpool.
Anyway, yeah.
So that's where I'm at now. Now I've got this. Now I'm doing this. Anyway. Yeah, it's funny. You're just going along. Like I said, I haven't felt well in my stomach area for quite some time. I realize now, last few weeks. And again, you don't really think about it.
Well, you need answers.
Well, the thing is, like, I used to take acids all the time, Zantac and Tums and things like that. When I drank, I had indigestion and heartburn every day. And I haven't had any in almost 4 years. So all of a sudden, to have a little bit of that and to have some discomfort and not just heartburn, like we've all had a little bit of, or maybe you haven't, but indigestion.
Yeah.
But this is like a physical pain that I can push against, and that's when I thought, well, maybe it's muscular, because I'm so vigorous.
Well, I told maybe I'm going to the walk-in. Sorry, this is weird. I've never felt this before. And I went to the emergency or the walk-in clinic, and the guy took my blood pressure, and he goes, "It's through the roof." And I said, "Yeah, I'm sort of stressed out right now." And he says, "Well, here's the deal. You better get up to the hospital because you need some tests." And ultimately, it was heartburn. So I went to emergency in Orangeville and went through all the tests and everything. And I was apologetic. And the first thing they said to me, they said, "No, Mr. Patterson, you did the right thing because you never know."
Well, anyone who's ever had a gallbladder attack or gallbladder symptoms, what you read is they're very similar. They present, as we say in the medical business, very similar to a heart attack. Because the gallbladder itself, if you can imagine, just under your sort of breastbone or your sternum to the right and down is kind of where your liver, your stomach sac, and your gallbladder is. The gallbladder itself, and also where your pancreas is, it has no nerve endings. It can't produce pain. So when it's in distress, what it does is it produces this radiating pain all over your abdomen and cavity, much like a heart attack.
Right.
So that's also why I guess she wanted to check my heart. And when she did and found that there's a name for what it was it's basically an arrhythmia. It's like every second or third heartbeat is got a little bit of a stutter to it. So she was worried that you may be having some heart issues. I don't think I am because but I don't know. I'm not a cardiologist.
Well, what I don't understand about that is if there's any question, why are we sitting here talking about it?
What do you mean?
Well, why wouldn't they give you intensive tests if there's any question that it's heart?
Well, there isn't.
Intensive ongoing tests.
Well, so there isn't. So they must. Listen,
why would they let you leave?
Because I'm fine.
But you just said you might have heart problems.
No, they said the ECG showed it's a very common thing. Because yesterday I didn't have an ECG, but Dr. Mike, the Humble and Friend fan, checked my heart and he says, "It's what is fun?"
No, the thing about stress tests, that man thing, and I'm the same way. Even when they tell you enough, okay, that's enough. Well, I can keep going, I said that every time. I can keep going,
Still young.
I'm still good.
I just walked 250 kilometers in England, That's it. But it's fine. I'm fine.
Well, what's the next step?
I'm on some medication now for my stomach, and I'm going to go to my doctor's today just to let them know what happened and book a test, and I'll be fine. Like I said, I feel much better now. I still feel like I have a little bit of something, but yeah. Isn't it strange how you're just going along, everything's fine, and then I know you went through this last fall, and I'm not comparing this because it's nowhere near as intrusive as what you went through, but I started watching, I was watching the golf yesterday afternoon, kind of laying on the couch, nodding off, and I thought, that guy's stomach doesn't hurt him. Yeah. I said that.
Funny you do that.
No, I did that. I went back.
I do that all the time,
I'll bet you that guy's stomach doesn't want to attack him mine did.
You know what I used to do all the time? In urinals.
Yeah.
Look over and see a guy with a real strong stream going.
Okay.
Jesus, I wish that guy, why does
flow.
that guy have a strong stream? I did all the time. That guy doesn't seem to be grunting as he's pissing.
And it got really weird. A couple guys told me they were in the bathroom with you, and it got really weird because he would literally walk right over and watch you pee. Be like, "No, listen, I don't want to I don't want to touch your dink or anything, but I just want to watch your stream."
No, I think we all do that.
Oh my God.
Whenever there's something, an issue, you always put yourself in the position of other people. No, I agree.
I just all day yesterday, I'm like, that guy's stomach doesn't bother, but that guy, he can eat anything.
You don't have an irregular heartbeat.
Which that guy's heart beats fine. I'm not supposed to have. I'm having my first coffee because that's one of the things I'm supposed to maybe
cut back on.
I drink way too much coffee. I just do. Maybe that's irritated my stomach.
What
somehow.
is too much?
Well,
according to who?
Me. I mean, I'm drinking 4...
No, but you're getting that from somewhere.
No, I'm saying I know I drink too much coffee.
Okay.
I'm drinking 4 cups of coffee a day, even on days I'm not doing the show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's too much, and I got to stop it. And I haven't really been eating as, well as I could, for sure. And I just have to be a bit more vigilant in making sure I don't... Although I will say this, I'm glad it didn't turn out to be my gallbladder, because you have to have that taken out.
Oh, yeah.
And you just can't. It doesn't get better. At some point, if you have gallstones, you're creating that in your stomach. You have to have it taken out.
Which is good. I mean,
yeah, that's fine.
I mean, it's an option.
Yeah, But when you have a radiologist and they have to stick needles in there, and it's terrible.
It's just day surgery, though. It's like a one-day thing. They go in, they suck it out with a, I don't know, with a shop vac or something. I have no idea.
A Hoover.
Does this work? Let's see if the phone's hooked. Is the phone hooked up?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you for calling the Humble and Fred Show. Who is this?
It's Muzzin. What's up?
Oh, Muzzin. Not much. What about you, Muzzin?
Hi, little Muzzin family.
Okay, I just wanted to tell you, you should get your gallbladder out too. We could both not have a gallbladder.
Mike, did they take your gallbladder out when they took your kidney for your daddy?
No, that was a totally separate operation. But then I also don't have an appendix. We could do like a trifecta.
Wait a second. You don't have a kidney, a gallbladder, or an appendix?
I'm doing my spleen in a year.
What is going on with you, man?
I just wanted to give to other people.
The Muzzin kid thinks he's hysterical. Which one of them? Is that Cole or the other one?
7. It's 7 and 4.
No, which kids are those?
Both of them.
It's Cole and Tyler. They're both mine.
All right, hi boys. Be nice to your daddy. He doesn't have very many organs.
Later.
Okay, bye boys. All right. Anyways, this program, hiring, retiring, and dying. That's what we're doing. If you are like me and you're a big proponent of the Chambers plan, I went, for instance, yesterday, I went and filled a prescription. I just took out my phone, the insurance cards on the phone. Mm-hmm. They take down the number. That's what happens. No muss, no fuss, my friend.
No, it's fantastic.
It really is. Mm-hmm. The Chamber plan, Phil. Hang on. Canada's #1 plan for employee benefits, and I've been using it. Like I said, it's magical. Here's somebody who says we'd been with our previous provider for years, and their prices were gradually increasing every year, with nowhere near the coverage that we now have through the Chambers plan. If you're a small business, this is important. We can't have prices going up. We have very slim margins. So group insurance and employee benefits enjoyed by 30,000 Canadian businesses. Simple, stable, and smart. The Chamber plan partners with Canada's top independent advisors to make your insurance experience a fantastic one. Mm-hmm. Chamberplan.ca, Phil, the chamberplan.ca.
And they're also on an app.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's fantastic. Very, very convenient. And our buddy Brett is going to be in the next couple of weeks to talk about a new feature they have.
Yeah, amazing. Let's talk about something that just was a huge benefit for you.
Well, let me tell you, over the next few days, we'll be talking about the new Gig Sky World plans available now on iPads. But in the meantime, I just want to tell you about my visit to the UK, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and England. And I had, I have an iPhone 8. I had the Gig Sky the little modem.
Oh, yes.
And I'll tell you, it was just so wildly convenient. I have this jacket with a little zipper on the sleeve.
What?
So I could just put the modem in there.
Yes.
And it was fantastic. No matter where I was, I had the internet.
You had your MiFi.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I just love the fact you got like a jacket with a zipper on the sleeve, like one of the Backstreet Boys. Who are you?
Wow. It was a little rain jacket I have, and it was just so wildly convenient. The best thing, I told you, we walked 250 kilometers, You know, just when you're on the streets of a city you don't know and be able to use your Google Maps and be connected was just fantastic. Long drives, there was a few of them. One was a 7.5-hour drive to be able to stream music through my Spotify using the Gigs card. It was fantastic. It really is a super convenience. And here's the thing. Before I went, I had to get a phone plan because I had to be connected to my phone. And they throw in, oh yeah, you can have a little bit of data with that, 250 megs for the month. It was part of the deal. It was ridiculous. I even said to the guy, I said, are you serious? I said, that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
But anyway, I had my Gigs guy, and it was fantastic.
Okay, we got to take a quick break here. We're a few seconds over. Sorry, Hamilton. We'll get right to it. We're going to talk about internet security. Here's the thing you don't know. You think things are fine, but our newest sponsor and next guest is going to tell you that you need to check it out or you're open to all kind of trouble. It's Humble and Fred Radio live on Canada's comedy superstation, Funny 820, and at humbleandfredradio.com.
I have so much stuff to talk about.
Yeah, but buddy, remember, you're here for a year, so we're only doing 10 or 12 minutes. Did you get that last part?
We're doing 10 or 12 minutes?
Yeah.
I was on Cannabis Wiki yesterday.
But you understand, this isn't a podcast. We're doing a radio show, so our guests are usually on for like 10 or 12 minutes, and then we're gonna say thanks for coming in, and then you go and sit down or go have lunch, whatever it is you do. Fred, you remember Barb?
Hi, Barb. How are you, darling?
Great, Fred. How are you?
Good.
At the Cannabis Grow Up show yesterday.
Yeah.
Really?
I had a booth there.
Wow.
Why?
It was pretty cool. Pardon?
Hi. I'm sorry, I can't get up. My back's killing me. Hi, love.
Hi.
Remember Sean?
Hey, Sean.
Barb,
Hi.
just want to make sure I don't screw up. It's Paul
Paluskowicz.
Paluskowicz.
Yes.
Paluskowicz.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean.
Right here, sweet. Yeah, so today is just kind of like, let's get to know Canadian CDN technologies. Let's get a little overview.
All right.
And we'll start the conversation.
Okay.
You know, what do people need to know? And then mainly these are just so people get, and what you'll learn as we go through this, you'll never need to bring notes. There's not a thing I'll ask you that you don't already know the answer to.
Okay.
But what you might do in the future, what some of the other sponsors do, is they'll send us a note saying, hey, here's some things I want to talk about.
Okay.
And then I'll have that say, hey Mark, like for instance, a retirement Sherpa, he sends us a little note saying, hey, this week I want us to talk about this aspect of whatever, and then you know what I mean? They're just really small little bullet points.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't want you to go to this much trouble. It's not necessary.
I'm all good.
Okay.
Am I allowed to talk about Cannabis show yesterday?
Absolutely. Come on, you want.
Okay.
But at 12 minutes, we're going to say goodbye.
All right.
Okay, so Freddie, as soon as the show's over,
Thank you.
sort of, I'm going to go to the doctor's, so I'm going to be here much longer.
Copies, I've got that.
Let's see what time he opens.
Sorry about that.
Sharif opens at 9:30. Perfect.
Okay. What's going on Twitch anyway?
Not much today.
It's actually pretty quiet today. No one's asking if I conquered a tragedy or had rubella or anything like that because of this arm.
Somebody just said, right on, Barbara's back.
Barb, I was in Costa Rica and I got
Someone hit
eaten alive.
on Twitch here.
Yeah, very well.
Right on, Barbara's back.
J. Cull.
J. Cull 16.
My neighbors told me, Fred, that somebody has bought the show. Like,
Oh, really?
On there.
We don't see the.
Am I going to be on camera too?
Yes.
The thing is,
So that camera's on right now.
He wants to talk about Teledoc, which is probably going to
Put up all your information and stuff for you.
Yeah, but we,
What?
we'll talk about it. Tell you after.
Yeah.
It's picking up audio during the break, so it's
that mic right
guns are
there is
smoking.
actually on.
So we can be explicit when we're not on the radio.
Technically, but we are. So.
Thank you for being there for us.
Oh, it's okay. Life is good. Life is good. Oh, let me know about your dates, eh?
Okay. We have one today at 11:30.
Oh, we have? Oh, yeah. Well, let me look up the schedule and then. Yeah.
You're funny. You like that?
I want 402.
Well, get a computer. That's where it is. It's on the computer.
All right.
Yeah, you're hearing more commercials on this thing now. Hey, Fred?
So that's one thing I want to
Yeah, so
Yes.
this will be just a little bit welcome to the show and
what do you need?
how you been?
I have a monitor.
Why are you so
I'm trying to
nice?
set this up so you can watch
I'm
it.
not.
Don't worry.
I should let you know.
I just
I'm
need
not
to-
sure we have a monitor cable. Are we?
heard.
Are you talking
Yeah.
like HDMI? Because I can
Sure,
order
it's
one
on my
if you
gallbladder.
want
It's
Oh, I do
something
have
else
one more
in my
HDMI
stomach.
output. I didn't think I thought I was using them all.
me. Okay, we're back.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's monitor.
I thought it was hard.
Good one-on-one conversation is like making love, caressing each other with words and heady, engaging topics of conversation. And Humble and Fred do it every morning. They make love to each other, with the whole country listening in.
The legendary Humble and Fred Radio, Canada's national morning show.
And a dangerous mind.
They are not right in the head.
Shivers in your fever, scream me again. Never kisses, or do you ever send off food?
Well, isn't this lovely to get together on a Monday in the fall? Lots of Humble and Fred for the next few months. Yeah, we're just hanging out. That's what we're doing. Was Bill Brioux scheduled?
Yeah, I just sent him a note.
So he's coming next week because he wasn't available today.
Hold on, he's coming next week.
That's according to Amanda. I just saw the email.
I see.
Oh, okay.
No worries. No worries. Still lots to get to. We haven't even we haven't even scratched the surface of Phil's Costa Rican adventure, where Phil was attacked by a super strain of mosquitoes.
The kind that make your chocolate, so it's fine. I'm okay with it.
The kind that make your chocolate.
Yeah?
No one knows what that means, but we'll find out.
What about the Pearl news too? You haven't
news.
talked about it.
Oh, you weren't here. Was he not here when you got approved?
No, this happened while Charlie was here.
Oh,
A
okay. I'm sorry.
couple weeks
See,
ago.
Yeah, okay.
you did talk about it.
Well, we talked about it on the show,
Okay.
but
I
we haven't
didn't know.
talked about it with
Right.
Puppet Fred. So that's still to come. Phil's travels. Not a couple other things prepared here. We may not even need it. We got a whole week. We got 4 days of content to fill. A couple of years ago, I had an opportunity to meet this woman. I remember this weekend. It started because this lovely human being was looking for some training. She'd been studying very hard for a few years to try and improve her performance. I think at one point she wanted to be. You were going to do some. You've done some training in the States.
Yes.
And that's how we met. And over time, this woman has been producing her podcast in our studios with the help of Phil Hong. And eventually, we've had enough conversations that we thought maybe now's the time to get Barb on the show as a partner, and we can help promote her business. Her business is CDN Technologies, computer support, IT consulting. We're going to find out all about that. Welcome back to our program, the talented and lovely Barb Paluskowicz.
Yay! Thank you.
That's what I'm talking about, Barb Paluskowicz. Bob.
I have to say thank you very much for having me back here and for all of your help that you're giving me in all of my speaking and training as well, because next week I'm at Carnegie Hall on stage with Martha Stewart.
What?
Yeah.
What?
You've got to be kidding.
You've got to be kidding us.
I'm dead serious.
Talk to me. What are you saying?
I'm going to be talking about IT security and things like that. I was recently, she's going into business with Snoop doing this whole bunch of edibles.
No, she's been in business. Her and Snoop have been, well, they got a relationship that started on her cooking show.
Yes.
But I didn't realize she was going to be part of his cannabis world.
Yes, and now edibles is coming into a big thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I was at the Grow Up Conference and Expo yesterday. CDN Technologies had a booth there, and it was very interesting. Had a great time because essentially all of the things that we've learned from providing IT service, IT support, and IT security to very highly compliant and regulated industries like food and beverage, medical, and finance, we've been able to take those practices and those procedures and all of that knowledge and apply it into the cannabis industry, which is really like booming right now.
Well, for sure. And I want to get to that in a second, but just briefly, if you can, because Barb was a guest on the show just a few months ago, so it's somewhat familiar, but just an overview of CDN Technologies. And then the second part I'd like you to speak to, and I know you've sort of had this conversation with me from time to time, but what is it about security for even a small business that most people don't realize is so important?
Okay,
but first talk about the business yourself. Like, you guys have been in business for a while.
Yeah, since 1989. That's why we have all these different verticals and niches that we've been able to learn from and apply to the cannabis industry. I'll step back a little bit. If you are a small business owner or an IT manager or a controller and you're tired of dealing with computer problems, or if your network is running slow and acting crazy, and if you're worried about being a victim of ransomware or bank fraud or negative PR or a data breach with data losses, security viruses, and essentially keeping your network safe from hackers, listen up. My name is Barbara Paluskewicz, and if you're taking notes, Paluskewicz is spelled the exact way it sounds, Paluskewicz. Trust and verify at our company's website, cdntechnologies.com, and we specialize in businesses that use computers in the Mississauga, Oakville, and GTA area, get them fast, affordable relief from all of their computer headaches.
Which are just, what are, like, I mean, CDN Technology, I always think of as a security thing first, but you're also, do you do other things?
Yes, we provide IT service and IT support. So what happens is when we are providing IT service and IT support, the first thing that we do is a security audit or discovery to essentially see what's going on in your network, what's going on with all these computers, essentially what are you doing well, and where are all the vulnerabilities and where the gaps are.
Are more people more vulnerable than they think they are?
Oh yeah, like it's brutal out there, especially for us as Canadians. Everything is happening so fast, all of these updates. You think you got a new computer and everything is going great. Everybody has a guy on the side that does it, but this guy is not available when, am I allowed to swear?
You can't swear on the radio show, but on the podcast, you could, yes.
Thank you for that. Phil, where were you?
Phil.
You knew it was coming.
Phil, where were you?
So essentially,
We said it during the break.
when life looks like a piece of crap, or like that Pollock art type thing. Is it John
Pollock?
John Pollock. Type thing?
Pollock art is different.
Can't say that.
Yeah, you can't say Pollock, but you can say Jackson Pollock.
Yeah, it looks like
2019.
Jackson Pollock.
Yeah, when
art.
life looks like a Jackson Pollock art piece.
Yes, because your computers are not working. Essentially, it's going to be a very bad day when you like walk into your office and all of a sudden none of your electronics, none of your computers are working, nobody is working, and you're wondering what's going on. So our job at CDN Technologies is to make sure that that never happens. So we have a help desk team, so when people need help because their email is stuck in their outbox, or they can't print, or they can't scan, or they've lost a file, or they've lost a column in Excel. Essentially, our agents on the machines, they click on it, and we're there available to help them out.
Well, that's fantastic. So that obviously it's done remotely to anywhere.
Yes.
This is what you're saying.
Yes, but we're based in Canada, which
Yeah.
is a lot different than what other IT companies, because sometimes they'll outsource to like India or the US and things like that. But we're right on Bristol Circle.
So I realize now, and it's funny because we've known each other for a couple of years. I always think of you, again, as I said a moment ago, as a security specialist, but you're also just IT support in general. Like all those things you describe,
Yes.
Printer's not working, we have Phil.
Yes.
Our IT is Phil Securities.
Yeah.
He's our guy.
But even
He's
I'm
our
not
guy.
infallible, by the way. There are giant
No.
companies and banks and folks who do get hacked into, and they need people like Barb.
Yes, they do, Phil. Calm
That's
down.
right. No.
Phil's passing the buck.
We
He
talk
doesn't.
about it.
So you're a small office and things like that. What happens is when you get into like larger places, like when
Yeah.
you get into manufacturing and you get into those ERP systems and it's production and time is money, those machines, when they're interrupted as well, we come in there as well to make sure that everything, the automation in the business is always moving forward.
And it's nice that you can do that because not all companies, have their own IT security people. Pardon me, and IT help, and you can do it for smaller companies, mid-sized companies,
and enterprise. Because what's happening is when you have these IT directors and IT controllers that are there's so much happening so fast. They can't keep up because they have their little corporate world that they need to make sure that they can manage and socialize it and keep their job in. Plus they have to deal with all the computer issues and then all the maintenance and then all the updates. It just gets overwhelming and crazy. So what we find is there are a lot of people that have 100 computers and things like that, where we're coming in and we're supporting the IT directors, and the IT directors are relieved and they're not worried that they're going to lose their jobs or anything like that. And that's never our intentions.
Okay.
We're there to help you out and deal with all the crap that they don't want to have to deal with, because it's a lot of work maintaining a network. It's not a click Barbara trick, everything is like all up and running and smooth. Like there's always updates and patches.
And a small glitch in time is money, right?
You know what, that's exactly it. It's kind of like what happens is you always learn, like hindsight's always 20/20. So when you have like a paper cut, and you think, oh, sugar, I got a paper cut in it and it hurts.
Hurts a lot.
Who says sugar? I don't.
And Howard told me I can't swear.
Well, you,
No, I
can't,
don't.
you can say.
I'm learning.
Yeah, you
I'm
can say.
learning.
You can say sugar.
Okay. And what happens, so you have this little paper cut and it'll drive you nuts like all day long. And lots of times that's what people deal with when it comes to their computers. And it doesn't have to be that way, because what happens is if you don't take care of that paper cut, like if you don't baby it and address it and deal with it right away,
it can turn into syphilis.
that's exactly
Just
it.
like that.
And then
Sepsis.
I'm sorry, right? Sepsis. No, what did I mean?
You said syphilis. So it's sepsis, like the blood.
Sepsis, yes.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't
blood
get syphilis
disorder.
from a paper cut. I take that back. I should know better as a physician. Yes, you can get stepsis.
Gonorrhea.
Stepsisters. If you don't take care of your paper cut, you get stepsisters.
same thing with your computers. If you don't take care of it, all those little
Right.
quirky things, they fester, and the next thing you know it, dun dun dun. It's a big problem.
On the website, it says backups and recovery, IT security, IT services. We've talked about that in IT support 24/7. As well.
365.
What's that?
Is it 24/7, 365?
Yes. And in future conversations, first of all, let us, on behalf of our little company here, we're happy to have you on as a partner, and we're going to be hearing all kinds of stories. Maybe we'll get some listeners to submit questions that they have about IT security.
Someone already submitted and said, "Hey, Barb's back! Woohoo!"
That's right. Somebody already submitted a comment about you.
You have some level of celebrity.
I know.
Isn't
I'm
that
so-
wonderful?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
And does this mean Phil can call you all the time, too, and say, Humble and Fred have a problem?
There's syphilis on my monitor.
Somehow, that's right. There was a problem with Howard's computer this morning, and now it's contracted syphilis. Hold on a moment. Let's see what these people have to say.
Wrong
Stand
side.
by. Hi, who's this? Oh, you go ahead and do it the right side then. Hi, who's this?
Call from the security department to let you know that your card has been charged today for $580. Your transaction has been put on hold.
You know,
That's
You
fraud.
have not
It is
made
fun-
the
you know,
charge.
it's funny.
Press 1.
I've been getting, I don't know if you guys have had this one yet on your phone, the Microsoft
Support line.
support people calling to say that your Microsoft account has been compromised and you owe us some money. Yeah, we all joke about that, but there are people out there getting ripped off all the time, and Canadian CDN Technologies can help you put up a security so that you don't get ripped off.
Yes, and we do security training. I addressed all of that in my book, IT Scams, How to Avoid Being
Love
Ripped
it.
Off. I know.
But you know what? The movie was better. I got to tell you. I'm not saying the book wasn't great. I just loved the movie with that Emma Stone playing you. And
thank you. Everybody out there, it was PG, so...
What was it?
There was no swearing.
You didn't say sugar. Hey, before we go, so you're going to be on stage in New York at a conference with Martha...
Yeah, Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart.
Coco and Ice-T, and I'll be talking about cybersecurity, how to keep your business networks.
So how does that work? Did they contact you? You contacted them. I know you're a go-getter, Barb. So I know you. I'm assuming that there was some go-getting in this.
A little bit. I was nominated for an award advancing women in technology by CompTIA. So that was pretty cool. And then from there, I was reached out to I was invited to be on stage, so I do have to. They're not paying me or anything like that, and I have to pay for my hotel room and things like that.
Well, how do you put a price tag on standing on the same stage as Martha Stewart? That's going to be great for your profile.
Thank you.
If
I
you
know.
need
I'm
a place
so
to
excited.
stay. Listen, my daughter lives in Brooklyn. You can stay with her. I'll.
Okay.
Go have it. Charlie, Barb's coming to.
So do you think you'll interact with Martha at all?
Yeah, because they have all those, like, you have your green room and you have your, like, meet and greets and stuff like that.
So we're going to hear her on your podcast eventually.
Hopefully.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
We got that Polish thing in common and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been to jail. She's, like, quite the badass.
It's funny you were going to say that. I was going to say, have you ever been on stage with a convict before? And that I won't do that. But you brought it up.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
No, I haven't. It'll be my first time.
This is great, and I'm thrilled that you're here because you have a great rap, and there's lots of cool stuff that we can all learn, and I think people will get a sense as time goes on that there's lots that you do that is of a need to people listening, because I think what most people think is, oh, everything's fine, I had a little network, and next thing you know, people are hacking into your mainframe or something. Yes, Phil?
Your
notes. Phil, let me ask you a question. Is our mainframe here at Humble and Friend Radio secure?
Well, I would say so.
All right.
Every time I walk in, I got you covered.
I appreciate that. Barb Paluskowicz is the CEO and executive director of CDN Technologies, and also, if I may say, one of our most pleasing olfactory guests.
Thank you.
Because every time you come in, you always have a pleasant. There's a pleasant odor in the air.
I know, because this is very male.
Well, ish. Or male-ish.
Yes.
Thanks for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having
Barb
us.
Paluskowicz, CDN Technologies.
Thanks, Barb.
Thank
Seems
you.
very lovely.
You know, another scam that's going on right now is are you getting the text messages from Bell saying that you've been overcharged $50 some odd?
Yeah.
And all you have to do is click on and give them some information, and they'll
Never
return
click.
the money.
Never
No,
click.
Of course,
Never
of course,
click.
never.
But people don't know.
Yeah.
Next time you come in a couple of weeks, I do want to talk about that. I want to talk about, because I think we're all a little bit lax and laissez-faire when it comes to protecting our own personal information. And I know maybe some people listening aren't in businesses, but there's some great stuff that Barb has and CDN Technology has that you should just have as a baseline to protect your own personal information.
Yes. Actually, on my podcast today, I have Mark Ballinger from Barracuda.
Oh, Barracuda.
Barracuda.
Yeah, and we are talking about malware and things not to click and all of these phishing emails, and specifically lateral phishing emails. So that's
Which is
when
what?
an email account within your business has been compromised and it's sending you email messages, but you're so used to receiving and corresponding with that person that you think it's legit. It's like Howard sending you emails, Fred, and you're always getting email from Howard, so you see it. But what happens is Howard doesn't know his account has been compromised, and he's saying, Fred, can you spot me $20? And you know what, you transfer me 20.
Well, no. Listen, that's for sure.
That would be pretty safe.
Yeah.
the Fred technology would take over there.
The Fred wall, I call it. Not the firewall. The Fred wall will be like, no.
Fred,
any request for money? No.
Howard, Fred, I just forget. What was your Visa number again?
Yeah.
I need the last 4 digits. What's the CVV
Fred,
code?
what's that thing on the back called?
The CVV code.
CVD?
CVD.
Who?
No, CBD is the oil. CVV.
The CVV? Yeah, Fred. I need your CVV for your credit card. Scotiabank.
For the last 4 digits, please press 1.
Yeah.
No.
Well, here's the thing, though. We have a way, he and I won't tell you now on our show.
Right.
But we have a way.
Is this a secret?
Well,
no, it's dirty.
It's he and I have been. Well, I still do it. You don't do it as much as I do, but I've been signing off any note to him for about 25 years with a certain phrase. So if that email came from me and it didn't have that phrase in it, he'd know it wasn't me, because you have to know
it's phallic.
It's awful.
Here's the thing with malware.
Malware.
What happens is it copies that, and you don't know.
Isn't that something?
No.
Yeah,
Not this. It's not an embedded salutation, Barb Palasco.
Yes, it is. That's how malware works.
I'll tell you how malware works.
And the thing is, Barb, it just gets more sophisticated every day, doesn't it?
Well, it's
just when you think you've conquered, you got to worry about the next one.
Well, it's automation, and hacking is a business. Think about that call that we just listened to. Your credit card has been compromised. Please press 1. You get a live like it's a scam call. You get a live. They're being efficient as well. They've encouraged you to press 1. They know that they have a live caller on there who's an interested buyer of their services, which is this scam. So you have to be aware of those scams. When we do I send out newsletters to our customers every month, and I always have on the front page on the left-hand side, like the most recent scam of the month, IT scam. So this one is lateral phishing, and essentially what it looks like, so that you can see it, and then I talk about it on the podcast so that you can hear it, because your best defense is going to be your employees and security awareness.
I want everyone to go to this, and this podcast, as I mentioned at the beginning, has been produced by us. We're proud of it. Phil does a great job. Barb's gotten, was great when she walked in, has gotten even better. cdntechnologies.com. That's where you find out what the business is all about, what Barb's all about, and somewhere on this is the podcast, I'm assuming.
Under resources.
Under resources. Let's talk about putting it somewhere else.
Okay.
Like it should literally be, as soon as you see it, click here to listen to Barb.
Okay.
Because you know what they say, like if I have to, because the reason is, if I'm not aware you do it, I might not know you do it. But that podcast is a great way to get to know more about Barb and to hear backup archive shows. Barb's covered a ton of stuff over the last couple of years. And, of course, sign up for the newsletter and all that stuff. Okay?
Sounds fantastic.
You're fantastic. Did you enjoy this?
Yes, I did. Okay. If you guys enjoyed it, please put your notes in the whatever it is. You put Twitch.
Yeah. No, don't worry about the guys on. There's like 4 guys in their bathrobe. Literally, there's 4 guys in their bathrobe. Me tiny. Ha! Don't worry about them.
I want your feedback, gentlemen.
No, you don't. Barb, you don't want. I love those guys. I love them, but. Hey, you don't want their feedback, because it's all just nonsense. Yeah. But thanks for coming in. cdtechnologies.com. All right, Stan.
Steve, thank you, Stan, for the feedback.
I'm trying to think. Was Stan?
Stan's been on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, Stan is on the podcast. I'm trying to think when you were gone, Fred, if Stan... What happened to Stan?
Something like a problem?
Oh, he had his coughing fit because of the...
Oh, that's right. I had to take him to the vet, too. Right.
Because he was coughing.
Could you go get the guy out of there? No, he had he was eating.
Get the guy off the street.
Get the guy off the street.
That's interesting. There was a guy walking by. You just say, get the guy off the street, so Stan will stop barking.
But listen, I'm also looking at 9 other things here. I know. To try and figure out how we're going to end this. Okay, we're doing a podcast extra. HumbleandFredRadio.com. Thanks to Barb. Thanks for Muzzin calling in. More on HumbleandFredRadio.com. All right, Phil.
Yes, this episode of Humble and Fred Radio is brought to you by FYI Music News, The Retirement Sherpa, Gigs Guy, The Chambers Plan, Strain Print, Freedom Construction, Ringside MD, Clear Air Solutions, and our newest sponsor, CDN Technologies. We broadcast to the world from the Humble and Fred Queensway National Broadcast Center. More Humble and Fred tomorrow and online at humbleandfredradio.com.
we're still doing the show. We're good. It was great. You're amazing. Fred, you're going to have to figure out the invoicing and all that stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so we talked about the trip. I wonder if you think of any more questions about... Now, I was just in London like a couple years ago.
Yes.
So recently. And I like London. I could spend more time there. I don't... Are you taking it? Is this all of... Are we all in this shot?
Yeah, sure. Why not? 3, 2.
Okay. I could spend some time there. I don't love it as much as I love New York. It's a different vibe to me. Although I got around the city by myself. I took the tube, and I found it easy to navigate. I was only there for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
I love Scotland, and I haven't been to Ireland, but I want to go. And I don't know. I guess I'd go to Ireland to golf too, I suppose. I mean, all my buddies have gone there. They say it's... My friends that have been to Ireland and Scotland say that it's a different... Because I thought, well, how different can it be? Just back up a little bit.
I golfed in England last week. It was fun.
And near with your cousins? I mean, with Gall's cousins?
Yes. With my my niece's fiance. Took us out to a local course. Very old and beautiful. And,
nice.
Established.
You walk and you got rented clubs and...
Yeah. No, he got some. I took my shoes and my glove and
nice.
Some balls, and he got us clubs, and it was all good. It was fantastic. Rained a little, sunny a little. It was great.
I guess like I said, I want to go to Ireland, but I would combine it with a trip to golf because there's so many famous courses there. But I like the Scottish people. I would say that.
Right. Here's what I would say. I find London. I did the on-off thing. Was there like 2.5 days. I find when I'm in cities, I'm in a city.
Yeah.
It could pretty well be anywhere in the world. You know, London's a bit different. Oh, there's Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
Didn't even get off the bus.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing disgusts me. I don't need to see Buckingham Palace. I saw the eye.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is pretty neat.
Yeah.
But I much prefer when I'm traveling rural, the little towns. You know, the closer communication with people.
Oh, yes.
The drives through the beautiful countryside. Because whether it's Dublin or whether it's Belfast, you know, once you're there, you're in a city.
No, I know what you mean.
And you see a lot of the same stores, McDonald's, Burger King, all that stuff.
And that's what I mean. I spent 2 days in London, and I didn't do the on-off. I did the river, the Thames.
Yes.
I did the river. It's like an hour tour, and you sort of go up and down from one end of the eye to the other, and I thought that was fascinating. But you're right, you're in a city. It's just that the names are famous. You know, that's it. Herald Square or whatever, and whereas when I'm in New York, I'm there for the city. Like I'm going to go. Rachel and I are going in a couple weeks to stay. Actually, we're not staying with Charlie. We're staying in Charlie's neighborhood. But I just said to her, you know, when I'm there, I want to spend my time in Manhattan because that's why I'm there.
Well, that's the thing too. When you compare,
Barbie.
When you compare. Manhattan's a lot more compact. London's a big, sprawling city.
Yep.
Another thing about London that blows me away, over the years here in Toronto as a sports fan, the pain it is to get a stadium built, like what you go through, it's unbelievable over there, Howard. Like in London, I don't know how many there's Olympic Stadium, there's Wembley, and then all these local soccer teams have 40 and 50,000 seat stadiums. It just blows me away. And the city tends to go on forever.
Oh, yeah.
Where New York, you can sort of get there and you can see it sort of, it's just right there. And although there's a ton of people there, you know, just on one straight up and down subway line, basically you can do a lot of New York. London's nuts.
I know. Yeah, I like again. I don't love. Rachel has she knows somebody somewhere. Maybe it's her brother's wife's cousin or something. Has an apartment in London that we can use if we want.
Wow.
And I said, you know, we should do that. Again,
stay at Uncle Lionel's. You could always stay at Uncle Lionel's.
I stay at where's that?
Light and Buzzard.
Yeah.
He moved up. He moved there from Hemel Hempstead.
Yeah, they really gotta. figure some of that shit out.
Amsterdam.
But of all the big cities, it's not like I have my next trip to Europe, I have to go to Ireland, and because I've never been there, and also because Rachel's brother lives in Copenhagen, we have another place to stay there.
Yeah.
His wife lives in Geneva, so we could stay there, and these are places I kind of like to see. Did you have a bad meal? Did you have was there anywhere that was like, that food was shit?
No, that's what I'm saying. You know where I've been most disappointed with food has been in my travel so far is Italy, because every restaurant's exactly the same, and isn't that weird?
Fucking weird.
But in the UK, it's diverse. Like here, anything you want is there.
Best Chinese food I've ever had was in London,
and huge on curry, and we had a great Thai food dinner, and on and on and on.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. One morning we went to a breakfast place, and I had liver and onions for breakfast. I mean, it was on the breakfast menu. I thought, well, I got to do it. I never have liver and onions at home, so I had it. I couldn't do that in Italy. You know what I mean? It's Italy's a beautiful country.
I'll tell you one thing. You don't want any of my liver and onions right now. My liver's all fucked up.
You would give me syphilis.
Philly, I will tell you, when I was in London, my last night in London before I got to go to Scotland, I had Chinese food.
Oh, yes,
somewhere in Chelsea.
Right.
And again, fantastic.
It's because of all the direct immigrants from Hong Kong. They have all the good stuff.
Indian food, Chinese food, Japanese food in London. But it's like any big city, it's diverse.
Well, Rome's not like that.
But I've never been there.
Yeah.
I'm going to New York in 3 weeks. And we're going to go on a Thursday. By the way, I didn't tell you that Charlie, or before you left, did I tell you that she's going to be back here for a week a month?
A week a month?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, she talked to her company, and her sort of year contract was coming up, and they were sort of like, how's it going? And Charlie and her work partner were kind of like, we're a little bit homesick and whatever. We're not sure we want to continue, because once the novelty of living there has kind of, you've sort of established that's where you live. It's like any other job. So here's what this is such a, this shows you how modern companies think.
Progressive.
They said, well, if it makes you happier, why don't you guys just take a week a month in Toronto? So she was here visiting for a week for holidays, and then this last week she went to work every day, staying here. So her and James would meet somewhere in the city in a coffee shop and spend all day there working on what they do in New York.
Cool.
And then when they had to take video calls, they'd go to James.
Wow.
But it was just cool. Like she was around I didn't see her that much, but it was kind of like nice having her in the house. And
right.
So she's going to be here for a week a month for the next foreseeable future.
That's fantastic.
I know, it's great. Which is great for me. Although it's weird having your kid back in the house. It's like, could you just put your shit away?
Oh, she was staying here?
Oh, yeah. You know what kids are like. It's like, you can take a plate from where you were to the sink, but the dishwasher's right there. Why can't you just put it in the dishwasher?
No, I know.
Straight below.
It's right next to it.
And I bet if you went to her place, she probably would do that.
Yeah. Oh, she does.
I'm notorious for that. I'm not going to lie. I think it's our generation thing. Oh, it's like right beside the dishwasher, but I don't know. That sink just looks like the right place to put it.
No, I know. And then she got mad at me a couple times. So I was like, because I said, honey, would you mind just... She's like, you don't have to tell me. I go, well, apparently I do.
I do.
I have to tell you.
No, but
then
it's funny.
And then
so that means every time you take a plate to the sink, not once does it go, oh, I should put it in the dishwasher for Mom.
Well, then I got to turn the water on and get the little bit of
rinse
stuff that's
it,
off the plate.
Rinse it.
Before putting it in the dishwasher.
Oh, isn't that awful?
It's so much work.
How much rent do you pay?
Enough.
Oh, you do?
I do pay rent. Oh. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I get the family pricing.
I'll tell you, though, overall it was great. And just because having her around, running into her, night, having the odd talk, and it was just great. I just loved it, and it was great because it's the longest we've sort of hung around since she left.
No, that is a great boy to be given that opportunity.
Can you imagine?
Be given that option is crazy. Because a lot of old style companies might go, "Oh, you're not totally into this? Well, I think maybe we should end this."
Well, the kind of work they do, they basically, as Charlie described it, she says most of our day is, they don't have desks. I've been to her office. It's like, it's the fucking future, No one has a desk. They all just sit around wherever they want. They have these conference rooms, like if you need some privacy. And she says basically all we do all day is we go into one of those rooms. She brings her dog to work because they allow dogs.
Yep.
I'll tell you, that dog and Stan, I got a video. It was the greatest thing. Stan would come home and try and find the dog. He's never had more fun in his life. But basically, she spends all day in a room, just the two of them anyway.
See, in my old fashion, I don't like that. If I own a company, I wouldn't let people bring dogs to work. Like, what if everybody brings a dog?
Well, everyone can bring a dog.
And what if some people are allergic?
Oh, yeah.
What if some aren't behaved
Then you
properly?
go into the isolation room.
Oh, man. I'm sorry.
Same room as those, can't eat nuts.
And I love dogs, but I would not allow that.
But, Charlie's dog literally stays in her little carry case. I said to her, I was dropping her off at the airport Saturday night. Of course, I was in distress on my way to the hospital. But I said, I really admire you bothering with this dog because I'm taking it back and forth and flying with it. It's just ridiculous. I'm not taking Stan anywhere. All right.
So you're going to New York when?
Like October 3rd or something like that. Thursday. I'm not missing the show. I'm just after the show. We're going to get on an aeroplane. They have them. They just go right down there.
Yeah,
the flying machines.
They go up and they get down. It's amazing. And one thing. A couple of times when I was over there, and I loved every minute of it. When I was in a city, I was thought, once I'm retired, and say it's a budgetary thing, would I rather spend my travel money on exploring the world or escaping the heat or escaping the weather?
That's a good
one.
And
I don't know, and I honestly don't know what the answer is to that because I love exploring the world. Yet, as you know, each year it's a little harder to endure the weather. So what would you do?
That's
and I only thought that when I was in cities, thinking I could be anywhere in the world, right, in any city, looking at H&M and McDonald's.
Oh yes,
and,
Starbucks.
Yeah. That's all.
Well, that's interesting because Marco, our buddy Marco, Amanda's husband, who was here one day when you weren't, a great time with Marco and Amanda, and his show, his podcast, Every Place Is the Same, is based on that premise. You were in all kinds of places where if you didn't know where you were, you could be anywhere. You could be in downtown Toronto and downtown Dublin.
Everybody on their cell phones. Everybody in a hurry to get somewhere.
Yeah. Fast food.
The cafe's full of people gulping down coffee.
You were in Costa Rica.
Yeah, and I couldn't be 3 steps away from frickin' Walmart.
Yeah.
You don't see Edinburgh Castle sitting up on a hill. But
No.
Well, I'll tell you though, having been to Edinburgh recently.
Edinburgh.
But when I was with Charlie, I guess last summer in France, we went to a few places where you could only be there.
In a city, though?
No, they were smaller.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. In the smaller centers, even Nice, which is a bigger city, you're still like you're in a city. I mean, again, there's the Mediterranean or whatever but it's different. But those little towns, you can only be there.
I was in a town in Ireland where we stayed called Carlingford on a fjord. Carlingford, part of Ford, like fjord. Anyway. It was neat. So we went down to Dublin one day in a bit, and it was great. Believe me. Hey, I'm in Dublin, Ireland, and I'm at this famous pub, whatever it's called, Tennant's or whatever. And it was great. But I'll tell you, my time in Carlingford I love more because you'd walk down into the little town, and the streets are narrow, and the pubs are genuine, and it's just the people are right there, and it was just different. That's what I like.
Did you get any of the because your accent is fairly flat as well. Did you get any, you guys are Americans?
Oh, yeah, lots of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of that. And we, quickly say, I'm Canadian. And then it was usually, oh, that's good. Or,
oh, yeah.
You know what another weird thing is, though? This Ireland, Northern Ireland thing, I didn't realize it was still such a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm in Northern Ireland, and the woman said, "How are you today?" And I said, "Hey, every day's great in Ireland. Northern Ireland, I'll have you say," she says to me. And it's like, wow. And the thing is, there's no border.
Nope.
The money's different. Euro in Ireland. You have to change your money to the pound in Northern Ireland.
And well, it's still it's different on the passports, though. That's like I have a passport that says I'm from England and Northern Ireland.
Yes.
I'm not from Ireland.
The Republic of Ireland.
And
they're two different countries.
The sad thing about it all is that it's 2019 and all of that was predicated on the fucking Protestants and the Catholics. Are you kidding me?
But it's still there.
It's ridiculous.
And you know, with this Brexit, they may have to go to
build a hard border.
Hard border.
Yeah.
Can you in Ireland? Can you imagine that? So all these little country roads across the border would be blocked off, and there'd be main crossing points.
Mhm.
This is what they're afraid of now.
Yeah, and this piece is only, 21 years old, 1998.
Yeah.
And again, when I think about how it began and what it was predicated on, I shake my head and I go, well, this is where, in this day and age, where people have access to, the miracle of science, that they're still upset about another way to worship the fake. You want to talk about fake news? Is there nothing more fake than that? And that drives me nuts, obviously. I feel very strongly about Northern Ireland. All right, I got to go to the doctor. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about Phil's magical trip to Costa Rica.
Oh.
And tomorrow I want Phil to fill you in on what's happening in the world of Pearl. Phil thinks maybe you and I are going to Cambodia. I don't know that that's in the cards.
Why
I said.
not? Yeah.
But we'll see.
Really?
I don't know.
Is he putting the deal together?
I mean, I can't put any deals together right now for that.
One thing we need to pay attention to this week, though, is that
50% off
Storm Area 51 thing that was supposed to happen. Actually,
yeah. Okay. Will you bring it
of
up
all the
today?
nerds, that's this Friday.
Okay. So can you bring that up tomorrow?
Yep.
Will you do that? And
We'll see what
then
happens.
tomorrow, if we have time, I don't know if I'm gonna do I'm gonna do most of this on the podcast, Swing Thoughts, but I'll talk a little bit tomorrow about what it was like competing at the highest level of senior amateur golf, Phil.
Oh, yes.
And, and then Freddie and I are playing golf tomorrow. Always exciting when we get to do that. Playing with our bosses from Funny 820.
In St. Catharines. It's always nice to go to St. Catharines.
Yeah, man.
It's a wonderful
And this course
community.
we're playing at, I was telling you on the phone, I was actually supposed to play there yesterday in this tournament. But it's
Is it close to the QEW?
Close enough.
Yeah.
Getting home for you will be a bit of an odyssey, but it's about, from where we're sitting here, it's about 45 or 50 minutes on the QEW.
What time's our tee off?
11:06.
So we're done at 3:06 and full.
Yeah. 11:06.
It's against the
3:30.
grain.
Yeah,
though.
you'll be fine.
Oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. I will survive it.
No, I don't know if you will.
The Leafs are at training camp. Lots of good sports. TSN 1050 and TSN 1150. It's prime time for them, our brother station.
Oh, good.
Leafs.
As long as you won't be bored. All right, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day and stay strong.